at minimum, split the series with the Twins. One of the next two, they will take the 4-game series against the Twins, getting ready for that road trip. And the Cleveland Guardians on Friday. We'll see if there's drama to that. There was drama last night, but depending on what you like in a baseball game, you might have found yourself being bored. You might have found yourself drifting off and doing other things. Last night would have been a terrible night to have that game played on Monday night because there would be little to no attention being paid to a 1-1 game, a 1-0 game, a 0-0 game, not many base runners by either team. The pitchers were going out and shoving, as they would say, and you had an awesome basketball game on Monday night. But last night, college basketball over, watching the Royals, Luka getting ejected for, talking smack to a fan, and the referee assuming that he was talking to him, so then give him a technical, and then realizing that he was talking to a fan, and then saying, nothing I can do, get out of here, you're ejected. Sorry, I guess you shouldn't have got the first technical, Maybe don't get the first one, Luka, and you won't get the second one. Because you know what, we can't have one night without a ref show. We can't have one night without a basketball ref show. So that the NBA ref stepped in and said, what if we kick out Luka in an awesome Lakers-Oklahoma City matchup that could be a preview of a playoff series? Let's do that. Let's kick Luka out of this game for hitting a fadeaway jumper and looking at the stands. That reminds me of Carl Hess, college basketball referee, when Rick was at his previous spot before Iona. There was a guy by the name of Kyle Couric, and they were coming down the court, and Rick Pitino yelled, "That's a foul, Kyle!" Because he was complaining about it, and it was right in front of Carl. You could hear him say Kyle. We were sitting going, "That's a foul, Kyle!" The amount of times that Rick yells at his own players to tell them, stop bitching, that's a foul. Stop complaining. It was surprising, to be honest with you. And Carl Hess turns around, boop, technical. The hell you teching me up for? Yelling at me? That's Kyle right there. His name is Kyle, not Carl, bunny ears.
Well, it's not like, the OKC won by 17, or they won by 16, and they outscored the Lakers by 17 points once Luka went out.
Once Luka went out, and then LeBron went to the bench, and it was like, well, who cares? Let's get, let's let Jared Vanderbilt go and play a little bit to get ready for the postseason.
Part of the Vanderbilt family.
Absolutely.
It's just
oddly enough, he went to Vandy. No, he did not. He did not.
I just love that. Like the refs. Okay, close game. Lakers up 1. Okay, Luka, we're going to toss him out. OKC wins by 16.
By the way, joking about Vanderbilt going to Vanderbilt.
Will Boilermaker?
He went to Vandy, so he called him Will Vanderbilt because he told him he wasn't a good enough player to play in the Big Ten. So he called him Will Vanderbilt. Because back then the SEC wasn't respected. So he's like, I'm not calling you Will Purdue. You're not good enough to play in the Big Ten. You're Will Vanderbilt.
And now Will Vanderbilt goes, SEC, SEC.
This is so great, man. Will Purdue tells some awesome stories. The time when Michael Jordan punched him in practice, and they got into a fight and everything. So, oh, what a great teammate, though. What a good teammate. The GOAT. Great teammate. All right, 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. 913-912-4810. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour, KSHB 41 sports director. We will have our Bracket of Sound champion and the Bracket of Sound runner-up-ion. That's later on in the show. Some Rotten Tomatoes with Mick Schaefer as well on a Wednesday. So we'll get into all of that as well. Some Chiefs talk, some mock draft talk, some complete team talk. And I do want to talk some college basketball with what Florida did to win that I think is something we didn't get into yesterday that we can talk about a little bit today as well. Again, 913-912-4810. One of the things I want to talk to Joel Goldberg about that I'm going to bring up with him is it wasn't that long ago that we would be talking about the game last night, the next day, about how the Royals gave it away, and this is just simply what the Twins do. They take advantage of your mistakes. They have the starting pitching. They scratch across enough runs. Their bullpen gets it done. They play great defense, mistake-free for the most part, and your mistakes are amplified. And it's just another game where the Royals aren't good enough to overcome their mistakes, and 3 errors cost you the game, and a freaking ground ball to the second baseman, a ground ball to the pitcher results in both runs that you lose the game. This Royals team just finds new ways to invent losses. It's interesting where we're at now, where the Twins have really struggled over the last, to finish off last season and to start this season. There's something like 16 games under 500 in that stretch. And last night was not a Twinsian game. Last night is again, what we would see from the Royals. And that was one of the more encouraging things that I took away. That could be a pretty generic game. You won 2-1, that's nice. I think there are a number of takeaways from that game. But my main one was, as I'm watching it and the game's over, I'm like, they scored that run in the bottom of the 8th. This is how the Twins would beat the Royals. This is how the Twins would go to the playoffs and win the Central every year. They would win games like this. They would win regular games, a 4-1, 4-2 the last couple of nights. And then a game like this where you have 3 hits and, a couple of walks. You got games where you had 13 hits and scored 4 runs. You got 3 hits and scored 2, both of them unearned, because your pitcher was going out there and doing what he needs to do in Cole Reagans, and your bullpen, not named Harvey, Urseg, and Estevez, go out there and throw 3 innings and give up only a couple of base runners and get the job done. Schreiber with an up down and pitching, 1+. Lynch coming in and finishing it off, and it was and you have an MVP caliber player that showed why you need 5 tools to be an MVP, because you never know which night that tool is needed. And last night, the tool from Bobby Witt was his legs and the speed that he was able to have that double and, 105 off the bat, and then be at third and score. Luckily, Salvi, hit it hard enough, and it was a bad throw to the second baseman. And Gasper, I think, could have turned 2. But as Rex always says, first man sure.
Second man quick.
That's right. And so he had to do the short hop and scoop and held it out as if he was at first base. And then you notice he looked over at first after he wasn't going to throw it and then dropped his head because it was like, oh, bleep, that was Salvi. That would have been 2. We would have got Salvi if I'd have just picked it and then ready to throw over to first. But they were also in that position because of his play in which he bobbled the ball from Vinny and then for whatever reason rushed it to try to pick it up because, again, it's Vinny, and then dropped it again and then couldn't get Vinny, and then he doesn't make the turnover at second base for the double play, and then you got the bad throw by the pitcher that, Bobby ends up at third. It's just an interesting sort of switch of what we've seen from these two teams in how many years?
I said this last night, or yesterday's game. I said even when you have your bullpen go out, Estevez didn't have his best stuff, Harvey or Urseg, and they only have 1 earned run. Bobby didn't have it, Salvi didn't have it, and yet they found a way to beat the Twins on Monday night. And I said that is a game that playoff teams win.
Yeah.
Last night is another game that playoff teams win. When neither offense is scoring, who is the one that can do the little things to scratch across 1 extra run to get it done? That was the Royals. They got it done with Daniel Lynch and Schreiber and Zerpa. Give him credit. I know it wasn't pretty, but he got out of it and got it done. Cole Reagans is Cole Reagans, yeah. Dude, is just incredible. But again, just to your point, doing the little things and not being the one to make the mistake that you go, oh, but if only this went our way, we would have won. No. The Royals are now taking advantage of other teams' mistakes. That is, again, what playoff teams do.
Well, you're seeing a fractured look of the Twins, and it's been that way now since late in the second half. They coughed up a playoff spot. If you talk to their fan base or just a fan of the Twins, they'll probably bring up the ownership group. Not being aggressive, has never been aggressive. Even when they're in it at the deadline, they don't make trades. And you're almost seeing the final part of this, where you have a team that just might put together a really bad year. And there are reasons to point to that. They've got bad defense. They have great relievers that are not pitching well. And you've got a guy like Carlos Correa, who did have a good game last night. He did roll into the double play in the 8th inning, but he was hitting $115 going into the game. Royce Lewis isn't healthy. Byron Buxton isn't playing well. You look at the bottom half of their lineup, it's just not what it once was. And for years when the Royals would face them, it was 1 through 8 you had to worry about. There were just so many hitters in that lineup and so many guys that were tough to get out. And you have seen this shift now where Detroit and Kansas City, if you go back to 2018 and 19, they were the ones you beat up on, while Minnesota, Cleveland, and Chicago were the teams that just used them as punching bags. Now it's been a complete flip where the Royals and Tigers are leading and everybody else is the one struggling to beat them. And what's probably best about the Royals situation is they're 6-5. Bobby Witt Jr., even though he's a home run shy of the cycle on Sunday, he has not taken off yet. Vinny's hitting under 200. Salvi's hitting around 200. The bottom half of the lineup is still struggling, and yet you're over 500. Last year, you had Bobby hitting at an incredible pace. Salvi was. Maikel Garcia was. Vinny wasn't there yet. They were getting great starting pitching, but their bullpen sucked, and they were playing the White Sox, right? They had them for 4 games. The Royals have played 3 playoff teams prior to this series, 2 of them division leaders, and the team they're facing now was a game out of the playoffs last year.
And one of the favorites to win the Central this year.
For whatever
by
reason.
Some pundits, yeah.
Then
and Vegas.
And then they'll face Cleveland this weekend and the Yankees, 2 division winners after that. So April was going to be this test of how good are you? And right now, you could make a very good case the Royals are not playing their best baseball, and yet they're 6-5 and a game out of first place.
Well, and last year they started 2-4, and they got walked off twice in that 2-4 start, and that's when Will Smith was eventually taken out of the 9th. They put MacArthur in there. MacArthur did fine for a while, and it was like, okay, this guy's getting the job done.
And then Whitehorse happened.
That's right.
He got a damn walk-in song.
That's what happens. But they start off 2-4, and then they go 11-3 over the next 14 games the Royals did last year. And it was like, okay, this is different. Now they also had, I think, 7 of those wins were against the White Sox. So they had 4 against the White Sox and another 3-game set against the White Sox. So it was either 6 or 7, because I think they swept a 4-game series against the White Sox in that 11-3. I think they may have taken 2 of 3 from the White Sox as well in that 14-game run. But they went 11-3 after starting off 2-4, and was like, okay, this team is heading in the right direction and playing some good baseball, and they are going to be competing this year. We didn't know how historically bad the White Sox were going to be. They started off that way, and it was like, well, they just continued on that path, and we knew they were a bad ball club and bad roster and things like that. They continue to get beat up on this year, which was expected outside of the first couple of games in the season, when it's like, what's going on with this White Sox team? They're positive
8-1 against the Angels.
Beat the Angels 8-1. But the Angels are 7-3 now or whatever they are in baseball, and a couple of their losses were
7-3.
7-3, and 2 of their losses were the White Sox. Like, what the hell's going on here? But they started off so last year. The difference being, like you said, Jack, they were hitting their way to wins and blowing games with the bullpen. And so far this year, they're pitching their way to wins. And they're not, out slugging teams and winning 8-7, 8-6, 9-8. They're not needing to do that. They're winning 4-1, 4-2, 2-1. These last 3 games, this 3-game winning streak. And the starters in that time have gone 18 2/3 and given up 3 earned runs with 22 strikeouts between Lynch, Lorenzen, and Reagans. And now tonight, all you have on the mound is the guy who finished second in Cy Young last year in Seth Lugo. Like, having Lorenzen do what he's doing since the trade, and having Bubic look like he has so far this year in a very early. You just took a drink. Sorry about that, Sterling. Small sample size.
I need more coffee
for Bubic. Like, it elongates that rotation, and now it's just. It's not just 92 games last year that I pointed out in the offseason and coming into this year that. Do you have the pitcher health that you had last year? Because Reagans, Lugo, and Waka took the mound 92 times last year for the Royals. It's a pretty good starting point for how good you can be that particular year. Well, if Lorenzen comes close to looking somewhat like this, I'm not expecting him to be a guy that goes out 6 innings, 1 earned run, and 4 Ks. But if Bubic can continue to close to what he's looking like right now and the expected level of play from Reagans and Lugo and Waka, well, this is happening, like you said, without the offense coming around, and Bobby Witt's going to be an MVP caliber player. He's just had to do it so far with his glove and his legs, and he's had a game where he's stolen some plays up the middle, and last night was his unbelievable speed. And when he was coming up, maybe you guys differed than I did. When he was coming up, I know there was talk about, speed and power and what he had and defense and, the all-around athlete he was. But I didn't put nearly enough weight on just how fast he was, just how good of a base runner he is. Because we think of base running Oftentimes we think of stealing bags, like, oh, what a great base runner because he steals bags. I don't think I've ever seen Bobby stutter step or chop his feet around a bag. Like, that's such an underrated part of the game that he just steps on the bag in stride every single time, especially at second base. And do you remember a time when he was thrown out at third, stretching a double to a triple? I honestly don't.
Can't think of one.
And how many times are they bang, bang? Like, close. Ooh, he just got in there. Bobby beats the throw. But we've also seen him pull, like last night. I'm like, is he going to go to third? No, he stopped at second. He saw that he wasn't going to get there. Like, the sixth tool is probably, an instincts of just how to play the game because he grew up around it. Like, those are the small little things. He knew he was going to third when that ball was overthrown at first. He knew he was at third. And so he's already taken the route to round second smoothly and get to third. Like, Judge can hit a bunch of home runs, which matters. You hit a triple, it's no runs. You hit a home run, it's one. So it's automatically better than hitting the double and the triple. But Bobby, all 5 of the tools, he has to show from different nights. And last night was that. I want to play this Vinny clip, and I thought it was pretty funny last night. Dylan, can we play clip number 1 from Vinny Pasquantino? And he was asked just about the game and Bobby's speed making a difference in the game and scoring both runs that ultimately came on errors as to how the Royals got both runs.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I don't even have a snarky comment for you. It's just insane. So, he took over that game like very few people can do. And I don't mean in a slugging percentage way or anything like that. I mean in just a pure, oh my God, he's so fast. Just the pressure. Obviously we play them a lot, so they know that he's putting pressure on you all the time. Similar to kind of like how Buxton, when he starts taking off, right? It's like, okay, you got to be on your game. So for him to not only, I'm trying to think of the things that happened. How did he score the first time? Salvi, where did he hit it? Oh, third, hit it to third. Like getting to third there, scoring on that. It was just a full takeover on the base pass by him tonight. And hats off to him. Without him, we don't win this game. So, and I know you could say that about a lot of games that we play, but this one especially. This was as great as Cole was, as great as Zerpa was, as great as Daniel was, as great as Schreiber was, like as bad as I was. Like it was that's a Bobby Witt Jr. special right there. We're lucky to have him.
It's probably one of the more underappreciated. Maybe we love watching him run. But one of the more underappreciated, I don't know, maybe it's not underappreciated anymore around here because we've seen it for a few years, but the speed and instincts and base running, first to third, home to second, home to third, is unlike I've seen in a Royals uniform. I don't think I've seen him make a mistake on the base paths where it's like, that was dumb to try to do that.
And even when he is thrown out stealing or trying to steal for second, you don't hate it. He's your fastest player on the team. If it's a bad jump, it's a bad jump, and that happens. But, yeah, that's why when you look at last year, Aaron Judge was deserving of the MVP, put together the best offensive season that we have witnessed since Barry Bonds. And even though he's not as good defensively or speed or base running wise as Bobby Witt Jr., he deserved it. But still, if you were to talk about the most complete player, everything taken into account, Bobby Witt Jr. might be number 1 in the sport based off defense. He's a 5-tool player and then some.
Yeah.
And yesterday, it's not just the – I want to say like the stupid speed. There are guys that are really fast but run themselves into outs. They're over-aggressive. They gamble too much. I don't see that with Bobby Witt Jr. He's a very high IQ player, and he won't risk it unless he knows he can get there. How many times we've seen him stretch a single into a double, and you go, oh, I don't know about this, and he makes it. Because he knows how to get there. He knows how to slide, too. That's another part to this with having the speed. But, yeah, to know that he's still not even taken off just yet, and this is where this team is at. Imagine once he does get going and Vinny gets going. Hell, the bullpen's not even at full strength yet, and they're one of the best bullpens in baseball with Estevez only throwing 94, 95. He throws about 98, 99. Some of the guys at the bottom half of the bullpen haven't pitched that well. So to be 6-5 against the teams they've faced, it is a good sign and probably can only get better from here on out.
I think the speed aspect is such a fun part of Bobby's game, but I pulled up his prospect profile in 22 before he got called up about what his 20/80 scale was. Hit 60, power 70, arm 60, field 60, overall 70. You want to take a guess what his run was?
70.
In the 20/80 scale?
I'm going to go 60.
Dylan? I feel like it's one or the other. It's either like 70, 80, or it's like 50.
I think I'll go 60 as well.
Yeah, it was 60.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
How is Bobby Witt Jr.'s run a 60?
Well, the question is, like, was he showing it at that time? Like, I have no idea. I wasn't covering him as a prospect or watching his development. Like, was he a guy that, I guess we can go back and look at the numbers of how many stolen bases and caught stealings or anything like that, or on the base paths, or was his focus in the minors to get to the big leagues, the bat and the glove, and the instincts take over when you get to the big leagues, and his overall speed, maybe as he grows and is stronger and quicker and things like that.
It's just interesting looking at that because, maybe he's gotten faster, but seeing him when he was drafted, what his scouting profile, what his card said on the 2080, and the best thing about him was his power, which is even funnier considering he was a not small guy by any means, but it's not like he was, Spencer Torkelson or one of those big-bodied dudes. It's funny when you look back at some of these, what was written about these guys at the time, and he was actually listed as shortstop, third base.
Yeah, well. That's the thing about the Vladdy contract versus the Bobby contract. Like, when Bobby gets older, where is he going to be? Maybe over at third base. As Vladdy gets older, where is he going to be? DH. Like, you're going to grow from first. You're already at first base. Like, you're not going to put him at worst, Bobby could go from shortstop to third to first.
George Brett model.
Yeah, I mean, Vladdy's going to go from first to then probably going to have to be Schwarber. Just simply DH. Nothing wrong with that because that guy is mashing right now and hit one 465 feet yesterday or last night off of Chris Sale. And Jack Caglione also hit one 460 last night because, that's what he does as well, Was it back-to-back nights now? Or two out of
I think
three?
they had an off day.
Yeah, that's right. The back-to-back games that ball got. That's right. 460 plus both times. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling. We'll talk about a particular position for the Royals and get into some college basketball. I do want to talk a little bit about how Florida won it and if there's a lesson to take away from the local teams in what we saw from the Florida Gators. I know we've talked about transfer portal and things like that, but a specific type of win on Monday night for the Gators. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next. Gasper not turning 2 on Salvi, cost a run. And what's the 6th look like if Massey doesn't steal that hit up the middle from Larnick with 1 out right before Correa doubles off of Reagans? Now, it doesn't mean that Correa would have doubled off of Reagans, but you'd have a man at first with 1 out if Massey doesn't take that hit away up the middle with that phenomenal play. I mean, that's 3 plays. 1 could have saved you a run, and 1 definitely cost you a run with Gasper's back-to-back plays. So second base was kind of important last night, you know? Massey didn't do anything at the plate, didn't have to. He, just by making that 1 play and his counter not able to make a play, pretty large, switch there, just from 1 particular position. So I thought that was interesting, just watching their second baseman. Like, how do you bobble the ball a second time with Vinny running? Like, at that point, you could pick it up and dust it off to make sure you get a good throw. There's a little dirt on it. Boop, over to first base. Like, Vinny lumbering to first base like a snowball rolling down the hill, and he gets there and beats the throw. I mean,
he thought it was Salvi, and he looked up and saw it was Vinny, and he got a little,
son of a gun.
rushed.
I thought it was Jose Guillen that was just going to jog down to first. I didn't realize this guy was going to run hard.
I mean, Mickey Gasper, what a name. That guy has to be. You see the mustache, too. That guy is from 1700s.
It's an 80s. He's 1980s baseball. What's 1980s baseball? That guy right there. That's what he reminds you of. It's just 1980s baseball. But yeah, they win the game last night. They get it taken care of. Let's hear from Vinny Pasquantino one more besides a snarky comment or lack thereof of a snarky comment. He was going through his sort of struggles and his at-bats last night. Let's play clip number 2. And this was the almost grand slam where Bobby gets walked because Sands has to come in for Pablo Lopez. That's always been really good against the Royals. It seems like they've just struggled against him. But here's Vinny talking about, his at-bats and that particular one and what happened in the game.
I mean, it's simple for me. I got to be better. I mean, even you go back to the third at-bat, I swung at a cutter that almost hit me in the knee. Like, I could be up 2-0 there with a guy who barely was able to warm up. I mean, that's like I hope Pablo Lopez is okay. I don't know if you guys have heard anything. We haven't heard anything, but we hope he's okay because that sucks, and he's one of the better arms in the, one of the best arms in the league. So hopefully he's okay. Sucky situation for Cole Sands there to come in and not only you're pitching, but you've got to face Bob. That probably can't be the most fun. You're trying to warm up quick. That seems like a nightmare scenario for a pitcher. But then I gave him 1-0, and then he was able to kind of get back. Not that he wasn't in the at-bat, but if I go up 2-0 there, it's a different at-bat. So I definitely got to go back and figure something out. Because I feel like, if I had done a few better things tonight, we would have been in a much better spot. So
he almost got all 4 runs with a swing. But it is sort of symptomatic of some of the things last year with the Royals as to why it was so important to go get a Jonathan India or a Canna or a Biggio, guys that can work the count and not sort of get antsy, is because that last night bases loaded with 2 outs and a 5-pitch walk to Bobby that wasn't particularly close, and the first pitch to you was a ball that wasn't particularly close, and then you swing at a cutter that almost hits you, is somebody that's too antsy. Is somebody that's trying to do a little bit too much. And I don't know about you guys, but when Vinny was up 1-0, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, last year, this is an automatic swing. Last year, he or MJ or Massey will absolutely swing at this pitch no matter where it is. And then he swung at it and almost hit him. I'm like, dude, you're 2-0. Like, he's thrown 7 pitches, 6 of them are balls, right? But yet you're 1-0 or you're 1-1. He did battle him for like 10, 11 pitches, and I really thought he got it all. I thought he got it all, and maybe mid-July it's a grand slam. But I'm glad that he said that. He's like, I got to be better. I gave him one. It was a gift. 1-0. Should have been 2-0 in the count. Maybe next time he approaches it a little bit different, especially with somebody in that situation that Sands had to come in and warm up quickly, not thinking you're going to be in there in the 4th when Lopez is dealing, and now you got to face Bobby and Vinny with 2 on and 2 out, and you don't want to hang one to Bobby. And you almost hang one to Vinny. They got almost all of it. But, man, it's a little symptomatic of last year when it was like guys were just, especially in that Yankee series, guys were just refusing to let the Yankees walk them. Pitch outside of the zone 2-0, I'm swinging no matter what.
Well, it's maybe the most frustrating part about Vinny's development as a hitter is that in the minor leagues and even his first year when he broke into the league, he was able to take the walk. That was one of his best attributes, was that he could work the count, he could draw the walk, because nobody on the Royals was going to do that. Hell, Bobby Witt Jr. doesn't do that. But if you're an MVP player, I mean, if you're hitting 330, then I really don't care if you can or cannot draw the walk. When it comes to Vinny, I'm sure he knows this by now, and I'm not going to speak like I can hit a major league fastball or identify a fastball to a cutter, but he is a hitter that pitchers do take seriously, where if it's 2-0, they're not going to lay you one down the middle.
Yeah.
They would almost say it might be better for us to not pitch around you, but if we walk you and it's 2-1, all right, we'll go after Salvi, who we know is going to swing at everything, then lay you one down the middle and you crush one into the gap, or you hit one out and the game's over. So to me, that was more so of him thinking, oh, they got to pitch to me, right? I'm hitting a $189. He's got to lay one down the middle.
Low and inside, I'm going to rip into right field over the fence.
He was sitting in one spot, and unfortunately, Cole Sands took advantage of his over-aggressiveness, and that's what you're going to see maybe the change in this offense be. We know that Jonathan India can do that. We've seen Mark Canha do that. Sometimes a pitcher makes a really good pitch, and they do swing outside the zone. They're not going to lay off every single ball, but that is what can really get Vinny going, in my opinion, is, hey, I'm not going to be over-aggressive here. Yes, I want to crush a pitch that's in the zone here, but if they walk me, they walk me. And he clearly was stating that in this post-game interview. But that, to me, is where you will see Vinny be at his best. Even a guy like MJ, like when MJ's struggling, he's swinging at everything. When you see him slightly turn the corner, it's laying off those pitches that are close.
Which is why I was annoyed that 3-2 pitch was called a strike the other night. That was clearly a ball, and he took it, and he did the right thing, yet he didn't get paid for it.
So, Vinny, to your point here.
Well, he got paid for it because he gets paid, but it didn't pay off for him.
Vinny's walk rate has gone down from 22 to 25 every single year. When he got called up in 22, his walk rate
was 22
to
25, not percentage.
Yeah,
it sounded like
elite.
Yeah, it's like, wow, he had a 20. He now has a 25% walk rate. Good
it
God,
was
is this Bonds?
11.7% walk rate in 22, which is nearly elite.
Yeah.
23, it was 9.6 last year, 7.2 this year, 7.1. His chase rate has also gone up, obviously in correlation with the. He's not a guy that strikes out a lot, but it's almost one of those situations where it's just swing less.
Yeah.
Swing less.
Well, he saw 10 pitches in that particular specific at bat against Cole Sands, and 6 of them were balls.
Yeah.
He only threw 4 strikes. Now, one of them he hung, and Vinny got it. He just didn't get enough of it. And again, in July, that's probably, there in the standing room only on the porch, and it's, 5-1 at that point. But he didn't get it all, but that was the most cookie-ish of the pitches that were the 10 that he saw in that at-bat, but 6 of them were balls, and he took 3 of them and then ended up swinging at 3 of them as well, especially that 1-1. But I'm cool. They won the game, and he says after the game, man, I got to be better. I got to be better. I can't gift him one. Because as he's talking about in that situation, because situation matters. If it's Pablo Lopez and you're down 1-0, this may be the best swing I can get.
Yeah.
1-0 to Lopez, he may not want to fall behind 2-0 to me. This is going to be in the zone because he works around the zone. I'm probably needing to be trigger happy here on this swing. But as you said, Cole Sands, he comes in, he's facing Bobby, quick warm up, walks him, and then it's 1-0, and I gift him one and just swing at a ball that's, so far inside that it almost hits me in the knee. That situation called for a little more patience because of who was on the mound in the situation.
As Bubich was saying, a strike-to-ball pitch, that was a ball-to-ball.
That was a ball-to-ball pitch.
It wasn't even a strike.
That's right. That's correct.
What is nice with Vinny, and he's clearly not right now, whatever
He's
it is.
He's going to get right. But
he also still has 10 RBIs. I know 3 came on a bloop in no man's land, and he had that one double that was also bloop to left. Yesterday's RBI, that was that slow dribbler, but he's still finding ways to manufacture runs, so at least there's a positive there that in that situation, majority of the time, he's not going to strike out. He will put the ball in play, and again, he's not the fastest guy, but 10 RBIs through 11 games, even with the struggles he's had so far, there's at least some sliver of positivity there.
Well, and he got a little. I think in the 8th inning he was antsy too because he didn't see a strike in those 3 pitches either. But he had to put it in play. That once he was down 0-2, find a way to put the ball in play with Bobby at third, and not be just a lazy fly ball. The Vinny special of a sacrifice fly, because it didn't have to be very far with Bobby at third, or a grounder. Luckily, it wasn't a hard enough hit grounder, with only 64 miles an hour off the bat to first base. If it would have been a liner there, a short hop, that might have been different. But, he got the job done. Look, I think there's going to come a time when Vinny's going to walk in the 4th inning, and it's going to be 2-1 because he just watches those pitches go by and tosses the bat over to the on-deck circle and runs down to first because he's not going to swing and be antsy at some of those when he's locked in. And maybe there's a time when that is over the right center field fence, too, because he's got that power.
It's not fair to compare them to the Yankees lineup of last year, but I almost wish there would be this
You mean
realization.
Northwest Arkansas is not fair to compare them to the Yankees? Or this lineup.
Yeah, this lineup.
Okay.
But you look at the way they just grinded every single at-bat. They wore down all the Royals starters. I mean, even pitches that were an inch or two off the plate, they would leave.
So annoying.
And you just, in a hopeful world, you'd be like, man, they'd see the way they lost and go, we got to do that.
Yeah.
Because if we can knock somebody out in the 5th inning because they've thrown 98 pitches, all the better for us. But it's an aggressive team. There's a lot of aggressive guys. I mean, Salvador Perez has made a career out of never wanting to take a walk, but he's a bad ball hitter. And some guys, they do the exact same thing.
Yeah, well, I think the Royals front office saw that and said, how do we get more guys at the plate that can grind out at bats, that can, spit on a pitch that's an inch and a half off the plate and get the benefit of the doubt because they're known as a guy that has a pretty good eye. So India, bringing him over, Canna, Biggio, like that was the theme of the guys that they brought in.
I just love it that Bobby's been like the 25th percentile in chase rate. Salvi's perpetually the 1st percentile, which is the worst, by like a wide margin. And then we get so enamored by Vinny. Oh, he takes pitches. Look at his eye. Last year, not this year. Last year, 32nd percentile. Like that's our not even 50th, 32nd. Right. Like that's our definition of wow. Look at him, great eye. 32nd percentile.
Yeah, what's India though? Is he in the 90s? I'm guessing.
Sorry, Dylan. I know.
Well, you look that up. We'll get it on the other side. We'll there's your tease. Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, nope. Let's find out.
I have it.
Let's find out what Jonathan India. You look up India, Biggio, and Canna. Warzone next. All right, so the Vinny was in the 32nd percentile of walk rate.
Yes. Do you want? Let's do 24 because
So it's walk rate, right?
No, we're doing chase rate.
Chase rate, okay.
Chase rate. Jonathan India was the 98th percentile.
Makes
Dude
sense.
does not swing at balls. That was last
tracks.
year.
That tracks.
Does not swing at balls. Good for him.
Yeah,
Not Draymond Green.
Nice.
Um,
At bats last night, too.
Mark Canna,
That's nice. That was good.
82nd percentile.
Man, we should have done Rotten Tomatoes with this. I was going to guess 78.
Yeah,
I was going to guess
87.
78th percentile.
And then Kevin Biggio in 24. He didn't have a ton of at bats in 24.
67. Jack?
71.
He didn't qualify, but he was very, very high. It looks like 90th.
My bad.
You can look
I
at
thought
it.
you were going down like 98, 82, and that's why I went in the 70s.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be in
Yeah, I
order
wish.
of-
That was a bad payoff. I should have gone Kevin Biggio first, but there's
That's
no.
fine.
He doesn't have enough at bats to
Yeah,
qualify.
all that matters to me is Jonathan India. I mean, Canna from time to time when he's in there, when he's pinch hitting, or when he's in a starting role, and hopefully it's not too bad of a hip injury for Canna there in left field, colliding with the wall. But India's the one that's going to get the 500-plus plate appearances, so you want him to be the guy that 98th percentile is not swinging at balls and making guys throw strikes and then making them pay for that, but also driving up a pitch count and letting Bobby see more of those pitches as well.
This year, though, he's 83rd. He's
Oh,
becoming a
boy.
royal. He's becoming a royal.
And they're royal. I mean, you know what? You can take the man out of the Reds, but you can't. But you can actually take the Reds out of the man too and put the Royals right in them. And so there you go. He's dropped 16%. Imagine what Vinny would be if he was a Red.
It's like 1.5%
Oh.
total. He went from 18.4 to.
I meant percentile.
Yeah.
16th percentile.
No, but this is why I was glad when they went out and got Kevin Biggio to an extent.
Yeah.
Mark Canna for sure.
Yeah.
And then obviously the big one of India because I know professional at bats seem so overblown. It seems so. We hated when Dayton Moore would put Lucas Duda out there and go, "Will you give us professional at bats?"
Did he though?
No, but
That's one thing.
India
gonna say-
actually does. Mark Canna actually does. Kevin Biggio somewhat does.
It's it's easy to say that the professional at bats that are there. Singer's 2-0 with the Reds so far. Early in the year, he's got a 2.25 ERA.
So it's a win-win so far.
So far, it's been a win-win. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Singer. 15-3 strikeout to walk ratio.
Wow.
Especially in that ballpark, you're gonna have to strike out more guys. So
Yeah.
15 Ks in 12 innings. So good. I hope it works out for him. I liked Brady Singer, and so my family loves the Reds. So it's not the Bengals. I'm fine if the Reds have success. More so next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Joel Goldberg an hour from now. Talk some Royals baseball with Joel. Was not willing to be a part of the splash last night. From Isbell and MJ Melendez to Bobby Witt. As you heard on the broadcast, right as they were coming over with the bucket, said, nope, it's too cold, and backed away.
He'll be able to, cash in on approximately, what would you say, 40 more? 50?
Let's hope.
Thinking?
Let's hope. I do want. You know what? I'm going to ask him. What's the weather threshold then? Like, at what point are you okay doing that and saying, you know what? I'm just because he's a part of it a lot.
Yeah.
And so, but last night he backed away. He's like, nope, it's too cold. And I remember Bobby telling the story of his, and maybe it was in his Players Tribune article that he wrote, the Breathe Bobby. Which was a fantastic read. If you've got a kid in Little League, if you've got a kid in high school that plays ball, if you play ball in high school and college or whatever, it's a really fantastic read about the expectations and loving baseball practice, hating games because he wanted to be perfect for everybody else. And in practice, he got to just play baseball. But in games, everybody's watching. Mom and dad are there. Grandparents are there. People are there watching them. And you strike out or you make an error and you've let people down. In practice, you just get to go play. And then somewhere along the line when it was like, just be you, it changed to relishing the opportunities to play in front of people to come through in that moment. But then it coincided with, oh, by the way, you're the best 13-year-old in America. Somehow they rank that. Oh, and now you're the best 14-year-old in America and 15-year-old. And now every time you show up and play, oh, my God, at bat, that's Bobby Witt Jr. right there. Yeah. That's Junior at bat. Oh, Junior's at shortstop. Oh, that's Junior over at first. So it's like, hey, let's go play baseball. Let's go play the games now. This is fun. But now here's a gorilla on your back of expectations to live up to the rest of your life. But it's a really good read, and one of the things that he talked about was opening day when he got the Salvi splash in his first game, and he talked about how cold it was, and his hair was frozen.
Dog, I was at that game.
When he went to the clubhouse, like he got the and his hair was frozen. I thought about that last night as he was getting the splash, and Joel was like, nope, too cold, and backed away.
Joel knows better than anyone that the players are not doing this for Joel. They're doing this for the player. They are going to dump as much ice as possible into this thing and make it as cold as possible.
Also, the difference, those guys go back to the clubhouse and take those clothes off.
As well.
Joel goes to the set in the postgame and sits next to Monty.
Yeah.
And has to do the postgame up there if it's
frozen.
Cold. That's a pretty big difference, by the way. You interview him while he's cold and everything, and then he goes back in there, takes those clothes off, gets in the warm shower.
Ain't no hot shower for Joel.
Joel's got to go hang out with Monty, unless Monty's going to cuddle with him and keep him warm,
More like Joel Goldberg, am I right?
Boom!
Joel Iceberg.
I think you had it right the first time.
I think Goldberg was the correct one.
Was a good one. We'll do that coming up.
What's your threshold?
If I'm next to Bobby or a Royals player, I don't care what the temperature is. That'd be fun. One time, I'm not in Joel's position.
One time, yes.
One time, Joel's.
You have to do post game. No, you can't go and
for one time, yeah, I'll do it. If it means I'm in the splash. Oh, especially if it was Salvi.
55.
Because I don't think Salvi lets you leave. I don't think Joel has a choice with Salvi,
I
right?
take more pride in it if I'm doing it just once. I don't have to do it all summer or the other cold games. But if I do it just once, there is no threshold.
Absolutely.
I'm
42.
Nope.
I take pride in the fact that the only time I've ever done a polar plunge was when it was 5 degrees outside.
See, I'm just an honest man.
And everybody's like, this is a terrible year to do it. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do it, this is the best year. Because there have been some years where they've done polar plunges and it's like, well, it's unseasonably warm. It's like 60 degrees. Well, it's not a polar plunge. That's just a little dip in the in the water. No, it was 5 degrees. That's a polar plunge. Let's get the real experience. It was so cold that when you went back to the area to where you would change and they had the heaters in there, the ground was frozen from people that were dripping and then the ice immediately freezing. So people were running in and immediately slipping and falling on their back. And it was like, hold on, that. Oh, too late. No, there's that. Oh, too late. It was like everybody running in and slipping and falling because it was that cold. But you really didn't care because you slid all the way over to your You're closed to change?
Dog, I don't do cold. I'm a.
But one time, I did it one time, and it's great. And now it's a great story, and now it's like, cool, I did it. I don't know that I have to ever do it
I'll
again.
polar plunge in the Gulf of Mexico.
Good for you. Good for you.
Sorry, Gulf of America.
Whatever it is.
I don't know now. I don't know.
You know, you
can call it.
There's golf going on. There's golf going on this weekend at Augusta. You know, starting today with the par 3. You know, a little fun, little par 3 with some friends and
Dylan,
family.
you bring us pimento cheese just for in honor of the Masters?
No. I still have the pimento cheese that our good friends brought us from Meet Mitch last week, though.
Nice.
Very good. And I saved it as like a little, now we can have it this week. So
yeah, I'm sure it's still good.
Yeah.
I'm sure pimento cheese doesn't go
We'll
bad.
let you do the guinea pig.
Oh,
on that
thank you.
one.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
For sure.
I've seen that mini fridge back there. There are things in there that Dylan leaves that has been 6 months.
No, tomorrow, man.
I was going to say, I think I cleaned it out.
Nope. Tomorrow.
Bag of chips in there.
No, this is what we do tomorrow.
Frozen chips?
No, this is what we do tomorrow. Tomorrow, show's over. We go to Nick and Jake's where Soren's doing the remote tomorrow because they always have the master specials, and they have the pimento cheese sandwiches, and they do all the master like raffles and games
and by the way,
stuff
that
at
is
Nick and Jake's.
if you've never been to that is a fun time.
Yeah.
Very fun time.
Might
and
be Soren's favorite remote. I don't know.
would say,
yeah,
probably.
Thursday
I was
the
hoping
Masters
that maybe
at Nick and
they
Jake's.
would change and say, hey, what about the zone? What if the zone goes as well?
You're gonna have to fight Soren and Curtis.
I don't like my odds.
I don't like them either.
I don't
So
like 'em
there's your answer. I just gave you the answer right there.
Well, I just mean double down. We both go. Both shows.
Yeah, but I don't want to fight them.
We don't have to fight.
Yeah, that's not a turf war we want to get involved
I'm not trying to fight anyone. I just want to go watch golf.
But I'm telling you, you're going to have to do that.
Yes.
I'm not a fighter.
You're a lover, not a
Dude.
fighter. Yes. 913-912-4810. Let's talk some Chiefs football. We'll talk some college basketball later on this hour. I want to talk some Chiefs football. I do find it interesting that as the weeks have gone on, look, mock drafts, we'll see how much they mean. We'll see how close people are in the mock drafts. You know, there were a lot of mock drafts last year that had the Chiefs taking Xavier Worthy, and it was like, I don't know that they're going to take Xavier Worthy. It seems a little too easy, just to say, oh, there's speed. The guy runs really fast. Let's put him with the Chiefs. They took Xavier Worthy. I remember in 2020, there were a lot of connections to the Chiefs taking a running back, and it was like DeAndre Swift and Jonathan Taylor at number 32. And it was like, no, they're not going to take a running back. And a couple of those mock drafts right before the draft, like a couple days before, all of a sudden, the Chiefs are taking other running backs. It's like, come on, man. They're not taking a running back. And then they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So nobody actually got the specific running back correct, but it was interesting the change and how often people were then saying the Chiefs are going to take DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor. Those were the names that really, I think DeAndre Swift was the most common. Doesn't mean that it was 90%, but it was the most common of the mock drafts that had a running back. It was DeAndre Swift because it seems like, well, that would match what the Chiefs like to do a little bit more. Speed, home run ability, things like that, where Jonathan Taylor, maybe too much tread on the tires from all of the carries he had at Wisconsin. And maybe you don't want to go down that route if he's about to break down. I don't think the Chiefs want to do that. Well, they did not go either of them. They went Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But I bring that up because Josh Simmons seems to be showing up more and more in these mock drafts, and part of it is the patella tendon and the injury that took place there and how easy or difficult, really, it is to come back from that specific injury as opposed to ACLs in the past that used to be a big deal, and now people recover from ACLs and look like they're the same player as before. I know that Matt Derrick is worried about the patellar injury for Josh Simmons. But what I am interested about this is not just that he's mocked to the Chiefs, because, look, if he's viewed as number 1 or 2 or 3 best tackle in the draft before he got injured, if this was going to be a top 10, top 15 pick before he got injured, we've talked about how often the Chiefs will get an opportunity to draft somebody that could be the answer at left tackle for Patrick Mahomes moving forward and not have this revolving door. Have somebody for 6, 7, 8 years like an Eric Fisher of just, there's your left tackle. Whether it's an all-pro player, it's not a sieve, it's not a swinging gate, it's not a wet paper bag trying to block for Patrick Mahomes. You've got your guy there. You can worry about other positions. There's been a lot of talk about how short his arms are. They're 33-inch arms. So apparently he's built like Tyrannosaurus Rex, as opposed to the 34 and a quarter or 34 and 3/8 and things like that the Chiefs typically would like to draft. I would guess that if the Chiefs like Josh Simmons enough and their medicals check out with Josh Simmons and he's there at 31 and they don't believe he should be there at 31, I don't think the 33-inch arms as opposed to 34 and a quarter would, or I would even say should, make a difference for the Chiefs to draft the guy. If he's a football player, he's a football player.
His arms at his pro day, though.
What were they? Did they grow?
34.
There you go. They grew. See, that's a good. You got to stretch it like Stretch Armstrong. You got to have one of his teammates just pulling on both arms. You know, you got the quarters. Like you get the horse on both arms. You get the horse on both legs, and then they just pull the other way.
It's called
not
quartering, I think.
Quartering. That's what I'm saying. But not too drawn quarter. Yeah, but not too hard because you don't want his arms to rip off. But just stretch a little bit. Just stretch those tendons just a little bit. Mahomes has stretchy tendons and things like that we've heard, right? That the kneecap gets dislocated, but then it slides right back in. His ankles, knee, all of that stuff. Like, he's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like they're rubber. They just bounce around. Maybe that's the same thing with Josh Simmons. So 34-inch arms at his pro day.
At his pro day.
How about that?
His NFL combine was 33. So
They didn't have the drawn quarter ready to go for him. They did in Columbus. That's just smart.
Home cooking.
They're willing to do whatever it takes for the athlete.
So
they're going out of their way.
Take that as you will.
I took it. And I would say the assessment from me, the opinion from me is I don't think it should matter. I'm going to guess it won't matter. And the reason I say that is, didn't we talk about there was a specific threshold that the Chiefs had to have for a cornerback? And then they went and got Trent McDuffie because Trent McDuffie wasn't supposed to be there at 21, 22. I always get it confused as to where he was selected at either 21 or 22. I know that Karlafakis at pick number 30, but 21, 22, he wasn't supposed to be there for them to move up and take that pick and take McDuffie. He was supposed to be gone in like the top 15. He was a first-round grade, a true first-round grade for the Chiefs. Do they have a true first-round grade on Josh Simmons? And if he's there at 31, do they take him? They were willing to overlook things because this is a guy who's a first-round talent, even if some specific things don't match the threshold that we typically have for a prospect. And they have been searching for a tackle for how long? Since Eric Fisher left. And they couldn't get something done with Orlando Brown. So they had 2 years of Orlando Brown. They've continued to try to find that answer at left tackle. Well, do you pass up on a guy that could have been a top 15 pick because his arms are a quarter of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, a little bit too short for your preference? Or do you take Trent McDuffie because he's not supposed to be there, and yeah, he's not as tall as some of the cornerbacks that you like to draft? Like, sometimes overthinking it can get you in trouble. Who's the best football player?
I find funny, according to Lance Zierlein, the NFL comp for Josh Simmons. You want to take a guess?
Orlando Brown. No, I'm joking.
Take a guess on who Josh Simmons' comp is.
I don't know. I'm not good at it.
Former Chief.
Eric Fisher.
Dylan? Any guess on what Lance has the
Donovan
comp?
Smith.
You're close.
Donald Stevenson, who was the
Oh my God!
I'm trying to think of a really bad one.
Cam Irving.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Cam
hopefully,
Irving.
is it Cam Irving? Joe Tooney?
DJ Humphries.
No.
Which I think if you say DJ Humphries now, you're like, oh, well, why? And then you think of what DJ Humphries did throughout the early part of his career.
Yeah,
You'd say, yeah, you'd take that, especially on a rookie contract. I just found that interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Take that as you will.
Because I would take DJ Humphries right now.
Yeah.
Like, we were excited about getting DJ Humphries coming off an ACL injury. You know, as a guy that had been in the league for, 10 years. So, I mean, it's like, okay, let's, he made a Pro Bowl in his career. But even Eric Fisher, how many Pro Bowls did Eric Fisher make? 1 or 2?
Yeah, not many.
Like, he wasn't an every single year Pro Bowl guy, and DJ Humphries wasn't either. But if you're picking at 31 and you get DJ Humphries for the next 7-8 years, sign me up. If you get Eric Fisher for the next 7 or 8 years, 2-time Pro Bowler for Eric Fisher.
hear me out. So let's just say one of these three guys falls. Who do you go with? Josh Simmons, who's going to miss this year because of injury. Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman from Michigan, who if he falls at 31, he would be a lovely piece to put next to Chris Jones at 6'4", 331, interior defensive lineman. Or let's just say Luther Burden from Missouri, wide receiver. So 3 different positions right there. 3 talented players who I think all at some point or another have been mocked in the top 15 and at some point have been falling to 31. If you have the option.
Luther, and then the other 2, sorry.
Josh Simmons.
I figured that would be one of them. But who was the guy in the middle?
Kenneth Grant from Michigan, who has been a very productive player, second-team All-Big Ten, multiple years, 6'4", 331.
Yeah. Can I throw another one in there just to make it a little bit more difficult?
Yeah, let's make it more confusing.
Well, because that's only 2 positions.
There's 3.
So what's 3 players? Like
wide receiver, defensive tackle, and offensive tackle.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking of who was I thinking of? I was thinking Kelvin Banks.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. No, you're right. When you said Kenneth Grant, I was thinking Kelvin Banks. I'm like, Banks is an offensive tackle as well. So okay, defense. Because I was going to say, let's make it more difficult. Let's throw in Harmon.
Okay.
but no. Kenneth Grant just as a placeholder.
Yeah.
To that degree, it could be Harmon. It could be Kenneth Grant. Just beauty is in the eye of the beholder. People, some people like pistachio ice cream. Some people like just really
love pistachio
See?
ice cream.
There you go. All right.
Remember Maggie Moo's?
Sure.
Oh man.
I'm going to take your word for it. With those 3, I would. And if the Chiefs viewed them all and said these are all equal, it's just a matter of which position do we take, it's Josh Simmons for me.
I'm Kenneth Grant.
But I just think you've got a couple more years of Chris Jones. It's a deeper defensive tackle draft. Can you get a defensive tackle in the second round?
Sure.
They feel like they've got some wide receivers, Rashee Rice for a couple more years, Xavier Worthy for, in theory, 4 more years with the 5th-year option. Heck, you want to throw in the franchise tag. We can get all that stuff. But I would take a guy that has been a constant revolving door of trying to figure out who in the heck is going to protect Patrick Mahomes at an incredibly vital position, so much that they took an all-pro left guard and moved him out to left tackle to be an average left tackle, because that's how important they viewed that position. I would go Josh Simmons if it's all things being equal, that they feel like all 3 of these players are on that same level.
Yeah, so I went Kenneth Grant. The reason was
well, both of us passed up on Luther Burden. How about that?
That's tough. That's tough for me. That was actually really hard. Like
so it would have been Grant, Burden, and then Simmons for you.
That's
tough.
Rank
those.
Oh man,
because it'd be Simmons, Grant, Burden for me.
I would probably go Grant,
head over heart.
Burden, Simmons.
Burdenmans?
I have Kenneth Grant as the one.
Luther Simmons or Josh Burden? I'm not sure.
They've also been trying to find that defensive tackle alongside Chris Jones for a while. They finally got it with Tershawn Wharton, and then he had a great year and got paid to go to Carolina.
Yeah.
Kenneth Grant makes the entire defensive line in Chris Jones' life a lot easier. Imagine if you had a Derek Nottie who can also get after the quarterback, 6'4", 331, a run stopper who can also move the pocket. I just like the fit of him on the defensive line. He's a day 1 starter. He'll get production. Do I ever think he's going to get like double-digit sacks? Probably not, but can he get up to eventually that 6-sack range? I think probably. I just feel like his fit on the defensive line would help Chris Jones immensely, which in turns helps out Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, FAU, and
the secondary.
And because offensive line speaking, I think that Jalen Moore is the left tackle for 2 years. I guess I'm
or
somewhat
could be the right tackle next year.
Could be the right tackle next year.
Right tickle, I like that.
Right,
is he the right tickle or not? Is he it's the wrong tickle. Sometimes it's the right tickle, sometimes it's the wrong tickle.
I think whoever was at left tackle last year would have done a better job tickling the edge rushers than.
I feel like they tried to. Trey
Let me get you here.
Little tickle, right in the belly button.
That would be perplexing and confusing to the edge rushers. That may have worked. Why is he trying to tickle me, Coach?
Tickling you?
Coach, I'm to the right side. I don't want to go over him. He's trying to tickle me, Coach. I guess for me, because I think that Jalen more is 2 years, and again, it doesn't really matter that much because if you draft Simmons, he's out 1 year pretty much either way. I guess I'd still
could
have
be out 1 year. Could be
he comes
could
back
be ready to go
halfway through.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe Kingsley moves to right tackle. I don't know. I guess for me, I just think that Kenneth Grant is the more talented player, and I have too many questions coming off of the injury. I know the thought process of how great Simmons was supposed to be prior to injury, but again, kind of with Matt Derrick's thought process, I got a lot of cause for concern there.
So this would also go along with whether or not Andy Heck is the guy moving forward. I trust in Joe Cullen in developing guys because Turk Wharton, undrafted. Mike Dana was not supposed to be as good as he's been for the Chiefs in what they want from that player. They've retained their players. Now, FAU, you'd like to see him develop. George Karlaftis has developed. Chris Jones has become a game wrecker.
When did Cullen go from, was it linebacker coach to?
Well, no, that was
Daly.
That was Daly that went from defensive line coach. Cullen came from the Jags. I want to say like 21?
Joe Cullen.
Maybe?
Let me see if I can pull
I don't think it coincided with Spags. I could be wrong about
22.
that. 22, 21,
because
22.
Some of the names I was thinking of
so
was
Jones was already a game
Well, because I was thinking of like Joshua Kando and some of the other
B.J. Thompson guys that haven't really, that were sort of like projects.
Kando was kind of the real project as well as Tano Passanio, but Tano Passanio would have been before then. So
yeah, Tano was gone. But I view the offensive line, and we look at the players on the offensive line currently. They went and got the best guard in football, who's played like the best guard in football. They went and got the third center that was drafted, whether or not he was the third best center in the draft, according to the Chiefs. They got the third center drafted in Creed Humphrey, and he's the best center in football. And they got a sixth-round guard in Trey Smith. But it's not a sixth-round guard the way that Allegretti was a sixth or seventh-round guard, or NORAD, or C.J. Hansen. It's a sixth-round guard that people thought may have been the best guard in the draft if it wasn't for the medicals. So when the medicals clear, you got a sixth-round guard with high second-round talent. And then you've got Juwan Taylor just spent $20 million a year on as a right tackle. So the offensive line is built with guys that are talented. I think he did a good job with Allegretti. I think he did a good job with Andrew Wiley in getting enough from those guys. Austin Ryder, I think he did a good job with that. But there are other players that have left a lot to be desired so far. Maybe especially and specifically at the tackle position. Because Niang, Wanya Morris, guys they have drafted that haven't, turned out to be even a serviceable right tackle to where you don't have to spend $20 million a year on Juwan Taylor to go and play right tackle. So I'd rather maybe take a lesser defensive tackle that I think Joe Cullen can turn into a better player rather than a lesser tackle that I would have to rely on Andy Heck coaching up to be a really good player, that maybe you take just the talent and put him in there, and then you don't – and maybe Andy Heck would do that. I don't know, but that would be more of the – I don't think the Chiefs would view it that way because obviously they're going to continue to retain Andy Heck, and I don't think Andy Reid would look at it that way. That's how I would look at it because I don't have – the faith from the reputation a few years ago that it was, Andy Heck will get this guy turned around because Andy Heck's one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. I don't know that he carries that reputation anymore. Yeah. And we've sort of seen this offensive line was worth more chopped up for parts rather than the car as a whole. That would be worth more. Juwan Taylor on his own, Trey Smith on his own, Tooney, things like the left tackle shouldn't impact your entire offensive line because your left tackle isn't great, but it looked like the whole offensive line broke down from that. Give me the talent to add in there as opposed to a lesser guy that he's got to coach up to put in there. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And that's why I would go Josh Simmons.
It's fair. It's a very fair point, and you're right. The thought process of Andy Heck being one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL, if it's no longer common thought, it's at least been debunked somewhat by this show as well.
Yeah,
so.
and I do trust Joe Cullen and what he's been able to do in developing some players. I'd like to see FAU develop a little bit more. That is
flashes, baby.
It's not the that's not leading his resume. That's not his cover letter to other teams of look at FAU, first round draft pick. But hopefully he can turn it on and become a better player. If they felt like he was going to do that, I don't think there would be all that big of a need to bring back a Minihue, except for that contract is worth to bring him back regardless.
Agreed.
It's a $3 million cap hit. Yeah, you'll bring back a Minihue, even if you think FAU is about to make a jump. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Boy, a number of things I want to talk to Joel about and get his thoughts on. Well, first of all, like, what's the threshold of the Salvi splash that he's actually going to take part in it? I think that's one of it. A very Twins win, because in the broadcast last night, Monty, started off the postgame and was like, they don't win this game 2 years ago. And I'm like, the exact same thing. And then my thought was, not only do they not win this game 2 years ago, they lose it to the Twins, but yet they're the ones beating the Twins. So the irony of that part of it. But, just so many parts about this particular team. Bobby's speed last night coming from that game. And then also, he's been around Chris Bubich his whole career. Like, why does he, look like this as opposed to when he first came up? I don't know. There's just a number of things I want to get into with Joel Goldberg. But I talked about, that I wanted to discuss some college basketball today at some point. And what I think is worth discussing, and we can talk about it from specific local point of view as well, from, the three local teams and what we've seen, them do this year, in years past, and how they play Final Four teams or national championship teams. Obviously, I'm talking about Kansas, and if we're talking about Final Four teams, then back in the day with K-State, but neither from Missouri. But this year for Missouri, what they did throughout the season to then what they looked like at the end. Florida's a team that is one of the best offensive teams in America. They'd go out there, they'd score 80, 100, 90 points. Non-conference, 98, 93, 87, 88, 90, 99. They scored 90 against North Carolina. They scored 100 against Kentucky in a loss, in Rupp. Even in a loss at home to Missouri, they scored 82. Missouri scored 83 in that game. 84 against Texas, 89 against Georgia. The random crazy game against Tennessee when they lost 64-44. That was odd there in Knoxville, whatever took place there. But, 86, 90, 81, 88, 85, 88, 89, 99, 90, 95, 104 against Alabama in the semifinals of the SEC tournament. 86 against Tennessee, a team that they scored 44 against the last time they played them. And then they dropped 86 on them, 2 points away from doubling up the score of what they had against Tennessee the first go-around. In fact, they scored 47 points in the second half of that game against Tennessee in Nashville in the SEC tournament. They scored 44 down in Knoxville. But then they get into the tournament. They win against Norfolk, scoring 95. Okay. That's expected offensively. They get into a game against Connecticut where they don't get to the 80s. They score 77. They do enough to come back and win that game. They take care of Maryland. That thing didn't really feel like it was all that close. They win by 16. They score 87. Texas Tech, they had to come back and score a bunch of points late to get to 84. Auburn, they don't get to 80. They get to 79. So how many games they won along the way in SEC conference play, especially the last month and a half of the season where they didn't get to 80 points? Not many. LSU, they won 79-65. Other than that, they were getting to 80 points every single game or 90. And they had to beat Auburn with 79 points. Had to beat UConn with 77 points. And they had to beat Houston with 65. That to me is like when we move forward. We know they have the offense. We know that Florida can score. That ultimately wasn't the downfall for Missouri in that, well, you can't stop anybody defensively, but you're outscoring teams, because Drake didn't get to 70. Missouri didn't even get to 60. So it was the offense for Missouri. That was rough. Defensively, during the game, you're frustrated at when Drake would score because offensively you were not scoring. But how often there were dribble drives and then dish-offs and points in the paint was frustrating to watch Drake do that because they were executing their sets really well and running their offense. But it was offensively that got Missouri in that particular game. But throughout the season late, it was the defensive part. And to be a great team, yeah, you're going to be ranked in the top 10, top 15 of both offense and defense. But Florida during the tournament moved up from, I think, 12 or 13 defensively to where now they're number 6.
What are you on? KenPom?
KenPom.
Okay.
Now, number 6 on KenPom. But offensively, they score points. To me, that's one of the things that stood out to me is Florida's defense throughout the season and in the tournament had to play high-level basketball to win 6 games. To win 3 games not getting to 80 points and to win 1 game not to be able to do that. Kansas was really good defensively, but they had stretches to where they couldn't score. So the calling card starting out with defense, well, defense is really good except for Arkansas scores 79. Do you have enough offensively to keep up with them and score 80? Not that night. Arizona scored 88. Not enough to keep up with Arizona. Scored 77. UCF overtime, you score almost 100 points, but that's UCF when you're talking about tournament teams. Like, you need both, obviously, but for this Florida team, they started off with awesome offense, able to score from all different levels, dribble drive, threes, inside, post play. But ultimately, down the stretch, they still ended up being the number 6 rated defense in the country, and they had to have it that night to hold Houston to 63 points and without a point in the final 4 possessions from Houston and turnovers caused because of the defense. Florida is such an offensive-centric team, Sterling. They won with their defense on Monday night. The defense won them that game.
Yeah, I'm on BPI right now, and they were ranked 10th BPI on defense.
Postseason?
So 10th overall. So no matter what metric you look at, Florida was...
They were 9th going into the game against Houston on KenPom, and they're 6th now. So they improved 3 spots in that game.
So what Florida did, and it's so important as you're talking about, is, and to me, it was the perimeter defense as well, of Condon and those big guys being able to actually move their feet on the perimeter, because it's not a situation where you have a 7-footer for the sake of being 7 foot. You don't have a guy who's in there just because he's big. They have guys that are big, but they can also guard, to an extent, perimeter players, or at least affect their shot. Walter Clayton being able to turn it on. We saw in, was it the Auburn game, or what game were we watching where we're like, man, he seems out of it defensively.
Defensively, that was against UConn.
Against UConn, and you're perplexed. But against Auburn and against Houston, even with the offensive struggles, it didn't affect him defensively.
Right. Especially that last play against Houston when he read the play and goes out there and has an amazing closeout on Emmanuel Sharp.
So Florida has somewhat the best of both worlds, where offensively they can put it on, defensively when they need to, they can bear down. It's why Houston I wasn't quite as enamored with, although, again, offensively they were ranked fairly highly because of the efficiency numbers and because, let's be real, the offensive rebounding really bolstered what they do offensively. I just don't think that when they face a team like Florida, or a team that can also get on them defensively, Houston doesn't have enough playmakers, whereas Florida, and give Golden credit, being able to get Walter Clayton some shots later in the game and adjust to what Houston did. Not many teams can adjust to what Houston did, and it comes down to playmakers. Sharp is a fine three-point shooter. We've talked about it. I just don't trust that shooting motion any time. It makes Lonzo Ball in college look like a good shooting motion. They have L.J. Cryer, and that was about it. L.J. Cryer. You have Francis, who's athletic, but Houston didn't have enough offensive firepower, in my opinion. That's why you have to have a team, and that's what KU's downfall was. Again, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Kansas, Missouri, just again.
But like for Kansas in 22, they were a much better offensive team than they were a defensive team the year that they won the national championship. I'm going to pull it up here because I remember us talking about defensively.
Which I think you can win that way, by the way.
Right, yeah. So they were. So Kansas ended up postseason. This is after the season's over. So all of the tournament. The tournament will make you look a lot better during KenPom because you're winning against tournament teams.
Sure.
Kansas finished that year number 6 overall offense, number 17 on defense, and they won the national championship. They had to beat Providence with a score of 66-61, so they didn't get to 70 against Providence. And then North Carolina, they had to play the best defense of their life in the second half. I mean, they gave up 29 points to North Carolina in the second half because they gave up 40 in the first half. And they needed all of it. All right, they couldn't give up 32 to North Carolina in the second half. I guess they could have given up 32 and then gone to overtime. They couldn't give up 33 points to North Carolina in the second half. They had to play some of the best defense they've played all year because the first half they weren't playing much. And they had to dig in and play that way. And you can make a pretty good argument that defensively is what won the game for Kansas on that Monday night against North Carolina, especially in the second half. Offensively, they had to score. Remy hit some big shots. Christian Brown getting out and running and doing some of those things. But defensively, they had to dig in and almost completely shut down what North Carolina was able to do.
Baycott's ankle going Benedict Arnold on him. And
it happens.
Worst moment of all time. I was watching. It's actually funny that my YouTube feed popped up the final 3 minutes of that game, and I was watching it, and that kind of gets lost in the fact is that he was driving to the basket and had one-on-one with McCormick, and that ankle and it was already injured before that. But it takes about everything you got and a little luck.
Yeah, and for Houston too, like this specific matchup, you look how Florida's built offensively. They're 82nd best at shooting the three. So, I mean, they're at 36% on the season from three. Walter Clayton, during the tournament, they were pretty good until that national championship game when neither team shot
besides Will Richard
above 25%. But as a team, they didn't shoot above 25%. But the difference is, like, for Houston, going 6 of 25 in the national championship game, they're number 3 in three-point percentage this year, almost 40%. But what if the threes aren't falling? Where do you find the points? They rank 296th in two-point percentage. Wow. Florida ranks 29th in two-point percentage. So if the threes aren't falling, where do you get the points? Well, Florida was getting them in the paint. Florida was getting them inside the arc. And Houston wasn't able to do some of those things because they were driving, and the bigs for Florida was wearing down the Houston big men, and then driving to the basket wasn't successful, especially there in the last 16 minutes or so. Now, all the foul calls, can change some things, certainly, but Emmanuel Sharp has the ball bounce off his knee. L.J. Cryer has the ball stolen from him from Condon. Tugler has the ball stolen from him from Condon. Emmanuel Sharp almost travels because of the closeout on defense from Walter Clayton. Like, Florida started with offense and grew into a really good defensive team. Kansas won the national championship by being more of an offensive team that then turned it on defensively in that national championship game. And against Providence, held them to 61 points because offensively they weren't out, scorching the nets for 80. And I just think, I wonder does Dennis Gates have the right formula to start off with in saying, we're going to score, we have to improve defensively, but hey, my team out there on the floor, we're going to put points on the board. If we don't put points on the board, are we good enough in a given night to stop the other team from doing that? They weren't against Drake. And Kansas State made that run. They were sort of even. I think they were around 25 in both offense and defense. That's Tang's sort of an even, not one lopsided over the other. But I just think, watching a Florida team that's all offense, win with defense on Monday night.
If you want to, I know we got to take a break done very quickly here. If you want to look at the top 20 teams on BPI versus on offense versus the top 20 teams versus on defense, you'll take the top 20 offense BPI versus the top 20 defense, those teams any day.
We'll do that next. We'll see what those names are. We'll go through them really quickly on the other side. More Zone next.
But if you're going to be in that next tier down, right, that 10 to 20-ish range, would you rather be Arizona or would you rather be West Virginia? Because Arizona is elite offensively, not elite defensively. West Virginia was elite defensively, but so bad offensively. Would you rather be, let's go ahead and say, St. Mary's, Texas A&M, West Virginia, Cincinnati, or would you rather be, let's go ahead and go with BYU, UConn, Purdue, Arizona, Kentucky? Yeah. Offense will give you the baseline. That gets you there. You can improve defensively. If you're elite defensively, if you're not good offensively, you ain't making the tournament or doing anything in the tournament.
All 5 teams in Ken Palm offense were in the Elite 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 made the Elite 8. Joel Goldberg next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you heading up until 2 o'clock. Nick Shaver joins us an hour from now. We'll play the Bracket of Sound winner from Monday night and the loser as well. Right now, let's talk with Joel Goldberg as the Royals winners last night. The last couple games as they're taking the first two from the Twins and the final game of the series over the weekend against the Orioles as well. Joel, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Jason, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I want to talk specifically about last night's game because this is a game that, you've been around this Royals team for a long time, and there was a fun stretch there in the middle teens, and then, last year making the playoffs. But a game like that had a feel of we'd be talking the next day about, God, the Twins just do that to you. They just don't make mistakes. They take advantage of your mistakes. A couple plays in the game and you somehow lose 2-1 when you get a great outing from your pitcher and you just can't do enough. And man, I cannot stand the Twins and how they play. Yet we're watching this Royals team, and I'm not sure how long ago or how soon ago this would have been a way that or a game that we talked about how the Royals found a way to lose. Instead, they're on the winning side, and it's like, hey, the Twins don't typically do that, but this is what the Royals do.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is if you look at it the reverse of what you're saying, and I know we don't need to dive too deep into the Twins, but they, as you said, they used to always win those games. I think my question right now is, are they the team that's going to lose those games, or is it too early to say? And it is too early to say. I know that, but that doesn't mean that it isn't true. And I was shocked when I was looking at some stuff after the game, some of the post-game notes that said that the Twins were, I think it was August 17th, or middle of August last year, they were a season-high 17 under 500. And since that day, through this year, there's something like, I think it's like 15-35, which is the second worst record in Major League Baseball. Now, again, most of that sample is from last year. I don't think it's fair to pull last year into this year yet, but it is a little interesting to see the Twins squandering a game away like that. Is it an aberration that they had 3 errors in a game? The Royals will have some 3-error games this year, and it'll be maddening because they're not that kind of team. But the Royals won a game last night with 3 hits and no earned runs. So yes, they found a way to win a game like that. And they have Bobby Witt Jr., who single-handedly or leggedly or however you want to say it, won the game by just flying around the bases after hitting a simple ground ball to the pitcher. So a lot of that was self-inflicted on their end, but I think he's going to do a lot of that to people that make them make those mistakes. And so I think it's a combination of all of it. It's still too early to say, but I think we have a pretty good idea of who the Royals are, in part because most of everybody's back from last year. The greater question to me in a division that I think is a 4-team race is, are the Twins what they were last year, or was last year an aberration?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point because it's like the Twins seem to always be the mainstay, and even this year it was like, they didn't make the playoffs last year. It was Guardians, Tigers, and Royals, and obviously the White Sox didn't either, but it felt like, coming into this year, betting favorite and a number of people picking the Twins to win the division, and yet, it seems like what I thought it was going to be was, Royals and Tigers. I still think the Royals are the best team in the division, but the team that I was worried about is the Tigers and the way that they've beaten up on the Yankees the last couple of nights. It's one thing to sweep the White Sox. We've seen that, but to take care of business against the Yankees the last 2 nights. So the Tigers look like, they're a team that's going to be right there with the Royals. And it's interesting also, Joel, that, last year through 11 games, well, I should say from the beginning, like the Royals started off rough and having a couple of, games that they dropped, well, those are close games, late games, and unearned runs in the 10th and the 11th when they've got the ghost runner on second. And last year, this team started 2-4, and there was a lot of frustration about what was going on in the bullpen, and they got walked off in 2 of those 4 losses. And then they went 11-3 over the next 14 games. And I don't know if it's something similar happening right now, but certainly feels like, some of the early And in baseball, it's like, a flash. It's like, the first 3 minutes of a football game is what we're talking about in the way they started this year. And now we're talking about this team, winning 3 in a row, already at least split the series with the Twins and a couple of more games before they go on the road in a big one against the Guardians. There is something similar in the start last year that then they got hot, and the start this year that hopefully this is the beginning of them getting hot.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, they may lose the next 5, they may win the next 10. I mean, I know that's across the board, but will it follow last year? It feels like it has a little bit so far, but that could take a turn right away. I mean, I thought in one of the most baseball type of occurrences ever that the Royals beat the Brewers last Monday, a little over almost a week and a half ago. And that gave the Brewers their 4th straight loss. They were the only team in baseball last year not to lose 4 in a row, and then they lose 4 in a row right to start. So there's so little rhyme and reason to some of this that I have no idea whether the Royals next week or 2 weeks will kind of replicate last year. But it feels that way right now for sure. But I think that, to me at least, one difference from last year is that this bullpen is settled at least so far from the start. Last year they came out of the gate and Will Smith struggled, and remember he makes the switch right away, and Will Smith is out of the 9th inning, and I think James MacArthur was in, and Jeff Montgomery always talks about how it takes bullpens and roles a little while to settle. But if you look at this bullpen, and I know Sam Long has not had a great start, but we'll see on that one. But I think the beauty of it is that Sam Long, when he's right, and he was last year for most of last year, can be a guy that can pitch in the 6th or 7th inning or a key situation. And right now, they won last night also in part because of their bullpen after a dominant performance from Cole Reagans. And so they get 3 scoreless innings from 3 relievers that are not their 1, 2, and 3. And put whatever order you want on it, but somewhere in 4, 5, and 6 is Schreiber and Lynch, and who was in before Lynch last?
Schreiber, Zerpa.
Zerpa.
Yep.
And Zerpa, Schreiber, and Lynch.
Yeah.
And he he was able to play the matchups exactly how he wanted to. He felt good about all of those guys. Schreiber got the exact double play that he needed in that situation. Those are 3 guys that you felt pretty good about pitching. I mean, Daniel Lynch is 27 straight scoreless innings right now, and I thought he was one of the most intriguing pieces coming into the year, in part because to me, he looked like some version of Andrew Miller last year into the playoffs. And so, maybe he has found himself in the bullpen. It certainly appears that way. And so that's your 4th, 5th, and 6th guy. If Sam Long somehow at the moment is your 7th, and Chris Stratton, who had a bad year, is your 8th guy that could come in when it's more lopsided or come in when he needs work, and if that gets him back to where he was in the past, great, and if it doesn't, you can figure that out. You're in a pretty good situation here right now, and that's going to give you opportunities with this rotation. And talk about a Royals-Minnesota comparison. The Royals are up there among the leaders in innings pitched per rotation, and the Twins are among the worst. That is a recipe for disaster in the long term.
No doubt. And the beautiful part about this year so far is that, you feel like, last year it was like, man, no starters. Can you get to the 7th? Can you go to 7 innings, please? Right. I mean, if you're out in the 5th, I mean, good luck at that point with the struggles early on from the bullpen. And then making the move for Harvey, and I think it's pretty obvious he was not healthy last year, and then the Urseg move, and then signing Estevez in the offseason. So now you have that. It's not HDH, maybe it's the law firm of Harvey, Urseg, and Estevez. I don't know what that nickname will be, but 7, 8, 9th feels a lot more secure now than it has in the past, and that's nice because Cole Reagans can go 6 innings and say, all right, now you need 3 innings to go, as opposed to trying to find a way to get to the 8th or 9th. Can you get to Schreiber and MacArthur at a time when he was, pitching well early on in the season last year? That, man, and that's what, to me, that's what was so encouraging last night, Joel, is that, you say, well, the 7th, 8th, 9th in a 1-run game or a game when you got a 1-run lead, and Harvey, Urseg, and Estevez are not going to pitch at all, I'd be concerned about what happened. But Zerpa was really good last year, and hopefully this is the turnaround. And Schreiber, was good when he came back. And then you mentioned Daniel Lynch. And you said that last night Monty was sitting next to you, said he's going to have to hit it right at Correa to get this double, or right at Bobby Witt to get the double play on Correa.
I turned to him. I mean, it's a 1-to-1 game, and I just said, because I know Schreiber's a double play guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I go, he really needs a double play here. I mean, Captain Obvious, right? But I knew that, Correa still can run.
Yeah.
And maybe not quite like he used to, but he's not an easy double play. And I said, he really needed a double play here. And Monty goes, yeah, probably got to hit it right to Correa. It was like 2 seconds later.
Right to Bobby.
I'm like,
yeah.
Good call, Monty. Thank you. That'll work. Last night was one of those fun nights. I don't know that people care about this stuff or not, but in order in my role to be what might appear like in multiple places at one time, you really have to time this stuff out. And so Monty and I started walking out to do our little coming up after the game thing, but we didn't want to get there too early because, quite frankly, it's cold, and I'm a total wimp on that. And so we thought, well, if the game's tied after the bottom of the eighth, we're not going to do our little report until the middle of the ninth because the game can't end in the top of the ninth. We thought, well, let's go halfway from the press box. We'll get down to the suite level. We'll watch in one of the suites. That way, if something happens, we're already halfway there. Well, we're standing watching in a conference room, and the Witt play happens.
Yeah.
And we're already now walking before he's at third base because we know at this point they're one hit away and then a couple outs away from the inning being over. Now we got to go on at the end of the top of the ninth. We get out there and sit down, boom, right away, go, do the report, jump up, walk down to the field, get there right as the game is ending. Bobby walks over, interview him, turn back around, walk back up. I'm like, where have I just been in the last 10 minutes? That's just my world. I know how to do it, but that's how quickly things change because 15 minutes before that, we're in a 1-to-1 baseball game. And now suddenly, without any hits, they win the game just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to fall under the category of game of the year, but I think it's a memorable one.
I'm with you. I sometimes it's just nice to watch a pitcher's duel. There's some struggles going on as long as your team comes out victorious. And what's the weather threshold for you when you do and are willing to take part in the splash?
Last night's maybe one of the only times that I could remember telling him, nah, I'm not doing it. Now,
it's too cold. I'm backing out of this.
I think I might have. I don't remember what I said. I think I might have even said I'm too old or something. I don't know. And my guess is I'm not even sure if I want to talk to Bobby about that because I feel like if I bring it up to him, it's just gonna to highlight to him that I'm due. I mean, I'm gonna pay for that at some point just because ball players are ball players and that's fine.
Yeah.
I just would rather pay for it when. I mean, I think you know that. I pretty much I'll take it and wear it like a champ every single time, but there's a little something at least for me when it's colder. I mean, I got extra cold just watching Michael Garcia last Friday night.
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, guys, you can't I'm not going to be responsible when someone gets the flu or whatever it is, but I mentioned to someone on the team, I'm like, man, how could they do that to him? It's so cold. And somebody made the comment to me. He's like, he was in the cold tub 10 minutes later in the clubhouse in the training room. I'm like, all right, fair enough. Yeah. Well, I wasn't. So
I was on set with Monty.
I'm going to be a good sport and be a part of this. I've said this for years. I've never asked for it. I've never told them do it, don't do it, leave me out of it. None of that. But when I saw the bucket coming last night, I thought I could hang in there at the last minute, but then he's probably going to grab me and pull me in. I'm just backing out now. And he made one little gesture to me like he was going to grab me. I'm like, nah. Now, here's the thing. He's still probably too nice. Hopefully he's not listening to this. Salvi would not have given me a choice. And so, quite frankly, Salvi was going to need to have a really big game to be my post-game show guest last night. Because if I'm bringing Salvi out there, I know him. I love him. We've been doing this a long time. Yeah. If he's getting wet, I'm getting wet. Yeah. There is no negotiation there whatsoever. So, you know what? If Salvi had a big home run or a big night, I would have worn it. but I was happy to stay dry.
Yeah, maybe it's not the weather threshold. Maybe it's the Salvi threshold. Okay, it's nice. Now I can interview Salvi. I don't have to find somebody just randomly to bring over and try to
That's right.
explain it away that, no, this is actually the player of the game, not Salvi's walk-off grand slam. It was this random person that I just found.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Joe
Yeah, but it's
Goldberg.
fun.
Joe Goldberg is our guest. Vinny had a couple of funny comments last night, and one of them actually saying, he's so fast I don't even have a snarky comment for you. And
That was good.
That was great from Vinny.
And then he went on with some snarky comments.
Yeah,
anyway.
well, yeah, because he's got it's Vinny. He's got to have something, right? But it is interesting, like the story of the game. We talk about the starting pitching and the bullpen and obviously the errors, but it's also Bobby's speed. I mean, getting the double and thought, out of the box, maybe that's a triple because you never know with Bobby. But the double and then moving over to third and scoring on Salvi, the fielder's choice and not being a double play. And then, putting the pressure on Jackson. He overthrows first base, and I'm like, well, he's at third. As soon as that ball went over his head, I'm like, that's a triple for Bobby, or at least, a three-base error for Bobby, and he's at third. And then Vinny did what he did, and Bobby's speed, there's a big, part of them winning and putting the 2 runs on the board because of Bobby's legs. And I thought, coming up, we knew he was fast, right? But it was like the power that he has, the range he can have at shortstop, and he can steal bases and things like that. But I think the speed was almost underestimated. Certainly from me, it wasn't really talked about a lot, and we've seen that in Bobby's time now. The stolen bases weren't there to the clip and the success rate that he wanted last year, and why he worked on it in the offseason. But the speed like that, I think, is oftentimes overlooked for an MVP type player. That was an MVP type game with some defense, and then obviously scoring the 2 runs because of his legs.
And I think that it's not reckless speed. I mean, you can be the fastest guy in the world and still run into outs or be overly aggressive, and they want their guys to be aggressive. But how often? I mean, I'm not saying he's perfect, but how often does it feel like he's just being reckless? Like when he kept on going last night, did anybody sit there and think, "What are you doing?
No.
I hope it'll work." Right? No, it's like I always say in basketball when you shoot the NBA range or beyond, logo 3, you're like, no, good job. Like it's like it better go in, right? But when Steph Curry takes it, you don't worry about
100%.
it. When Bobby Witt Jr. is running like that, you don't worry about it. Like if they're going to throw him out, it was not a matter of being reckless. He knows what he's doing. He's got great instincts. So that's what I talked to Paul Molitor about the other day, and he praised his instincts beyond the obvious of the incredible talent, is the baseball instincts that he has. He is a smart baseball player.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. You've been around this team and been around every game that Bobby's played. I don't know that he's ever been thrown out at third, stretching a double into a triple. Like even if they're closer plays, like he still beats the throw, and it's like he knew exactly how much time he had. Probably the scout on the outfielder's arm because he's again baseball smart and willing to put in the work. And the instincts of how quickly he can get there, his ability to round the bag, I think, is also underappreciated. And he touches the bag while in stride, still running. That's not easy to do. But I don't know the time when it's like, oh man, he probably shouldn't have done that. Probably shouldn't have tried to get to second on that one. Probably shouldn't have tried to get to third on that one. I think he recognized. And last night I wondered if that double was going to be a triple. But, he pulled up and was like, no, I'm not going to be able to get to third, so I'm not going to chance it and risk it right now. And thankfully he didn't, because he ends up scoring in that inning anyway.
Because he recognized it, yeah. I mean, he just doesn't. Again, he's not perfect. Nobody is. He's going to make some mistakes. I'm sure there are mistakes within every game. Whether it be a pitch he could have hit or whatever it is. I mean, I love that he told me last night that he was mad running the first base, which makes sense, right? It's like, yes, he was doing the right thing and sprinting hard, but the motivation beyond the obvious of doing the right thing, because he always does the right thing, is maybe a little bit of extra juice to make him faster. So that got him going to first base. Maybe that panics Jax a little bit. I mean, it looked like Jax kind of got caught between, okay, I could just soft toss this one over to, oh crap, it's Bobby Witt Jr., and then sort of got stuck trying to do both. I don't know if that's right or not. I mean, he had an easy play. He didn't need to rush it. But I don't know. I mean, I guess the lesson for all pitchers is just just take it like a normal grounder, not like you got all this extra time, or just go out there, field it, and throw it over there. Don't rush it, but just do it. Whatever happened, clearly Bobby's legs and threat and speed did it, and it makes me wonder. You're not going to have him bunt a whole lot because you don't want to take away the potential for that power, but boy, he puts the ball in play. If he puts the ball in play and it's on the ground, he's got a shot every time.
And the other team knows that he doesn't dog it down to first. I mean, he's going to be out of the box running hard, so you've got to make a perfect play, especially if it's on the left side of the infield. And, I thought it was interesting. Cole Reagans was asked last night about that type of play. And, I'm watching the game, and I've never pitched in Major League Baseball. I know this comes as a surprise to people, but, yeah, I have not. But Cole's saying, he's like, that's such a tough play. I'm like, is it? Is it a tough play? And Cole was like, well, you see me jogging over to first oftentimes to toss it because you just sort of get in your head. He goes, well, Bobby, you can't do that. And so it makes it a tougher play. And I'm like, oh, I guess I could see if the pitcher's in his own head about, this throw. And I know it's easy, Joel, to say, well, come on, you throw constantly. It's like, yeah, you throw from a mound in a specific way with a specific form that you're throwing that you've perfected over years and years and years of doing it. That's completely different when you're doing that, and then you're in your own head about not wanting to make a mistake, and we see that happen often when you don't want to make a mistake. Joel Goldberg is our guest. Before we let you go, one of the things that I definitely wanted to talk to you about, and I didn't plan on it being this late in the interview to talk to you about it, but Chris Bubich and his development over the years, you've been around him throughout his career, coming up with the big leagues and being a guy that was so change-up heavy and, making his debut. And it's like, man, this guy's got a major league change-up. Can he figure some other things out? And now, almost working off his fastball and mixing the change-up in there. What have you seen with Chris Bubich in your time around him and his growth to being a guy that, boy, there's some excitement about what he can be this year in the starting rotation, because so far so good. He's looked, pretty good there as the fourth or fifth starter, whatever you want to call it, just one of the five.
I would argue that he's been your best starter. Maybe Cole Reagan's stuff has been better and all the strikeouts, but I'd love to see Cole. I know Cole would love to see Cole. The Royals would love to see Cole go 7 innings, and he will. With all the strikeouts, the pitch count's going to get up. Although actually, I thought he was much more efficient.
Yeah,
struck out 7 of the first 10 last night, but I don't think he had a 3-ball count till like the 4th inning. So that separate topic, but that was a good step. But Bubich has been unbelievable in both starts, and he looks more confident than the past. I didn't see any cobwebs or anything. Now, maybe he was able to knock off all those cobwebs out of the bullpen. But I think that last year, but I think, we so often hear about when guys go from rotation to bullpen, just air it out or don't let anything back. You only have an inning, you only have 3 batters, so don't hold back. Velocity ticks up. He kind of took that mentality back to the rotation and said, we're going to focus on now and not worry about later. And he's the guy that's gone 7 innings. And so he's figured something out there. They got rid of the curveball and replaced it. I think maybe thought it was a little too loopy. I'm not sure, but they replaced it, and he's got a sweeper and a slider now. He says the sweeper is more like the old slider. And so those 2 pitches to go with the fastball and the changeup have really worked for him, and I think it's just opened everything up for him. And I think it's really interesting, too, that he has been able to get the strikeouts but also induce a lot of soft contact. So he's got multiple ways to get people out right now. I think, to me, very early on, I think that he is one of the 2 or 3 most intriguing pieces right now.
Yep, I'm with you. And you mentioned Daniel Lynch and what he's done. It's sort of like
and Harvey too.
Yeah, right.
I know you briefly mentioned it, but I think this is a reminder. It's not as fun for sports radio and chat boards or whatever we call that stuff, social media now. Is that it was very easy to hate the Hunter Harvey move last year, and I think it would have been worth hating if you only had him for last year. But to me, it was like an incomplete on a report card.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, let's judge it next year. And it's still incomplete, by the way. We're only a couple weeks in. But I think that fans right now are seeing what the Royals and who the Royals traded for. And this is really intriguing because I think everybody would feel comfortable with him closing out a game just like Ursager or Estevez.
Yeah. And when the team's playing like this, it's a lot of fun to go out to the ballpark. And the last 3 starts, This rotation, almost 19 innings, 22 strikeouts, only giving up 3 earned runs. Oh, and tonight is the guy that finished second in the Cy Young last year.
Right.
So, other than that, a lot of fun to watch Royals baseball. A lot of fun to talk to Joel Goldberg. Joel, you're the man. Appreciate it. Have fun out there tonight, and we'll see if Salvi's the star of the game, and he won't let you get away.
It's going to be warmer tonight. I'm going to look for Salvi.
Very good. Joel, you're the man. Appreciate you, brother.
See ya.
All right, there's Joel Goldberg. He's the man. He'll be out there tonight. Royals as well. Seth Lugo on the mound, taking on Joe Ryan, and we'll see if the Royals can win the series over these next 2 days against the Minnesota Twins. Already minimum a split of the series with the 2-1 win last night, and we'll see tonight if, should be nicer. It's going to be nicer this weekend too, so Joel may have to take part in that splash. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. We continue with more Zone right after this. that so far early on, Chris Bubic has been your best starter. I don't know how much that is going to continue, how much that will stay the same. Boy, if it is, the Royals are in a very prime position if Chris Bubic remains your best starter as this season goes on, because we know Cole Reagans has looked really good the last 2 times out, and Seth Lugo will go tonight. Michael Lorenzen's looked pretty good. But also just those lefties, Bubic and Reagans, against 2 lineups that went heavy right-handed. The Baltimore Orioles, heavy right-handed lineup on Sunday with Chris Bubic. And then last night with the Twins, heavy right-handed against Cole Reagans. They combined to throw 41 changeups, Reagans and Bubic. They combined, the opposition swung 22 times at those changeups, and 17 of them were swings and misses for Reagans and Bubic, which is pretty good to have that against the righties there for your lefties. You got to have a weapon against the right-handers. And last night, Cole Reagans specifically, the changeup was certainly working. The fastball, the velocity was down a little bit, but he was locating it. He was getting ahead of hitters quickly early in the counts, which allowed him to be more pitch efficient while also striking out 7 guys in the first 3-4 innings. So to be pitch efficient and do that, you better get ahead of hitters early and not have 6 pitch strikeouts for each guy. And he talked about his slider having a little bit more depth for some reason. It was just a little loopy isn't the right word, but one of the terms that Cole Reagans used. And it did have more break last night than what the average for this year has been. But it's really that changeup that was working for Cole Reagans. 11 swings, 9 whiffs, and Bubic 11 swings, 8 whiffs on Saturday against the Orioles. So those guys are going to be doing that. That's fantastic.
I'm looking at it right now.
Look at it.
On his movement profile. Wow, Cole Reagans' movement's pretty crazy.
It's pretty impressive, right? I mean, it's almost like ace stuff.
His slider and curve both have more horizontal drop than most, which is even more impressive when his slider is thrown about league average at 85 miles an hour, but just the amount of horizontal break that it has on a slider thrown at 85 is crazy. So you're right. You don't want to use the word loopy because loopy makes it seem like it's coming in at like 77.
Right.
It's still coming in at 85 with that much break. His 4-seam fastball actually almost has 2-seam action to it, which is also intriguing and interesting to watch. He gets so much break towards the first base side. So if you're a lefty, it's coming in on your hands, which is a 4-seamer, not as a 2-seamer, which is pretty intriguing. I wonder if that's any reason why the velo's down, because there's been more movement. Either way, he's been very, very efficient and effective with it. So I don't think you want to change it. Let's say you're throwing 95 instead of 97, 98, but if you're getting more movement, it's the anti-Carlos Hernandez.
Yeah. Hernandez was so good at just, throwing it right down the middle, straight. But, like, in all seriousness, not to keep talking about Hernandez, because he's not with the Royals anymore. But with what this starting staff looks like, Preston Farr at Royals Miners tweeted this out last night and said, Michael Lorenzen, since being traded for Walter Pennington. Okay? Pretty good trade for the Royals. Since being traded for Walter Pennington, Michael Lorenzen, 40 innings pitched, 196 batting average against, 1.1 whip, 2.03 ERA, 0.7 F-WAR, and said that here that he's been more valuable than George Kirby, Bailey Ober, Luis Severino, Justin Verlander, and Luis Castillo in that time since the Royals acquired Michael Lorenzen. Nice move for the Royals. But when we say, would the Royals have even won that game 2 years ago? No, of course not. They would have lost that game 2 years ago. From April 16th until July 15th, so 3 months worth of baseball, when Chris Bubic threw his last pitch in 2023 for the Royals before having Tommy John surgery, so April 15th to July 15th of 2023. In that time, those 3 months, all 5 guys in this rotation are pitching that weren't either on the Royals or healthy. Because in July, you trade for Cole Reagans. Then you sign Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo. You trade for Lorenzen, and Chris Bubic is healthy. So when you say, like, 2 years ago they wouldn't have won that game, right, but 2 years ago, 6 days from now, a couple of years ago, April 15th, 2023, when Bubic threw his last pitch, you got all 5 new guys. Because Bubic, Tommy John, who knows what he's going to look like after Tommy John? Okay, he came back. He's in the bullpen. All right, so those starts for Bubic in 2023 that he looked good, was that because his arm was getting ready to go? And sometimes your stuff looks pretty good right before your UCL gives. And it's like, oh, well, he picked up 2 extra miles per hour. Yeah, look at that. And then a week later, his UCL pops, and he's got Tommy John surgery coming. Like, oh, maybe there's a connection there. Well, there was no connection after, April 15th. But he returns to the bullpen, and the question is, do you just leave him there, or can you get more out of him for 30 starts and get 5, 6, 7 innings of what he was looking like in the bullpen? Well, it's asking a lot to get 7 innings of what he was doing 1 inning at a time in relief in high-leverage situations. But even that trade for Lorenzen to bolster the starting staff last year, that they needed that after Reagans, Lugo, and Wacha, trying to find and fill the 4th and the 5th. Singer struggling a little bit. Marsh with the injuries, and, who's going to fill that role? Lorenzen comes in. Okay, great. Until he hurts his hamstring. But in the time he's been with the Royals, again, you're talking about .7 WAR. It's better, higher than George Kirby, Bailey Ober, Luis Severino, Justin Verlander, Luis Castillo, to name a few, from Preston Farr. And we're seeing what Chris Bubic is doing. So the front office, the credit that they get for the pitching staff, also the coaches as well, that you got 5 guys every single time out. What's the worst you feel when somebody's on the mound? Lorenzen? Maybe? Wacha? Maybe right now? Honestly,
probably Lorenzen still.
Like your confidence level of this guy's on the mound, how confident are you that you're going to get 5 or 6 innings of giving up 1 run or 2 runs and your team is in the game? Like, really confident with Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo on the mound. And Lugo goes tonight.
Right now with Bubic, I feel
right
like
now really confident
6
with Bubic.
and 1 feels about the norm.
Yes, really confident with Bubic. Wacha, we'll see, because he's had, at times last year and then early this year.
Wacha feels like a walking quality start at times, though. It feels like 6 and 3, where he 6 innings, 3 runs, where he's going to keep you in it. That's what it feels like right now, typically.
If Long would have come through for him, he would have given up 2 runs, not 4.
Yeah.
So inherited runners that scored against Wacha. And then what Lorenz hasn't done so far, like all 5 times out. There's a pretty decent level of confidence that you have with that guy on the mound.
My one question with Lorenzen, I want to see more, because it's, again, smaller sample size.
Yeah.
It's 40 innings. He's been incredible in those 40 innings. It's been very impressive. I guess my concern is one injury with him more than others, because you can't pull fat, and he's got no fat.
That's my theory.
He's too yoked.
It's always been my theory when it comes to getting injured.
He's too yoked. He's too cut.
Yes. You don't strain fat.
So a concern there. And 2, he also feels like a guy that at times the pitch count can get up there. It feels like a 4-inning, no runs, or 4-inning, 1 run. You're like, that's great. You like that. And you'll take that from a 5 all day. I'm not trying to complain here.
Yeah.
But if I had a nitpick of the 5, that would be my concern, is the maybe lack of innings that I think you can get from Lorenzen. And I feel like 6 is more or less, if he gives you 6, that's incredible. But I feel like he sits more around that 5-ish range.
Well, and I think last night was big because, okay, what's he going to look like this year? All right, against Milwaukee, he goes out 5 innings and gives up, 3 earned runs. 4 runs total, but 3 earned runs in that time. He walks 3. He strikes out 7, but again, you're talking about in 5 innings, 3 walks and 5 hits. You got 8 base runners and 3 earned runs that you gave up in that time against Milwaukee. Now, you weren't going to win that game because the Royals scored nary a run. They lost 5-0 in that game. But against the Twins, not last night, but the night before, I should say, when they win 4-2, like, what's he going to look like bouncing back from that game against Milwaukee? Start number 2, the first go through the rotation. The one guy that looked pretty good was Bubic. And so, okay, second time through the rotation, what are these guys going to look like now? And Lorenzen, second time through the rotation, looked pretty damn good. no walks, gave up only 5 hits, 1 earned run in 6 innings. So 5 base runners in 6 innings, on Monday night against the Twins. And we'll see what his next start will look like in Cleveland against the Guardians on Saturday. But he's maybe the least confident you are when a guy goes to the mound out of the 5. And it's not like, all right, Jordan Lyles, can you score 6 runs tonight so you can go and win the game? And that guy was, starting opening day. Greinke. Not even, Greinke, Lyles, whoever it was. But, you had in 2023, it's like, okay, well, here's Greinke, here's Lyles. Like, here are the guys that are, your starters. Like, the guys that got the most starts that year in 2023. Lyles started 31 games, Singer 29, Greinke 27, Cole Reagans started 12, Lynch started 9, Alec Marsh started 8, Yarborough started 7, Keller started 9. Those were the guys that were getting starts that year. Carlos Hernandez had 4 starts that year for the Royals. Like, that's what they were dealing with until it was, are you ready to compete? Yeah, we think we're ready to compete. Because there was a lot of criticism in 2023 for the front office with J.J. Piccolo's, first full off season. And what he said was this was going to be it's not an assessment, but whatever they called the year in 2023. It's going to be a year where we have to evaluation year.
Evaluation year,
I think it was John Sherman that called it that, but this is an evaluation season. And J.J. Piccolo said in the winter between 22 and 23, heading into the 2023 season, saying, well, we can spend money, but it would be spending money for the sake of spending money. That we want to know what team we have so that when we're ready and we know this, we can then go spend money to where it will matter.
It works.
And in 2023, there was a lot of skepticism, and I understand why there was that skepticism. Because, okay, well, John Sherman, he's cheap. He didn't want to spend money, and this team sucks. They're going to lose 100 games. And they did, because that was your starting staff. And then they trade for Cole Reagans. Luckily, they paid for Aroldis Chapman in the offseason.
Yeah.
But trade for Cole Reagans. Sign Lugo, sign Walker, trade for Lorenzen. Bubic comes back, and it's completely different from 2 years ago. So, yeah, no way this team wins that game last night 2 years ago because they don't give up only 1 run. Like, you're not getting a game where you're going to have 3 hits in the game and win. It's not happening for that team. It's happening for this one because Reagans does what he did, gives up only the 1 run. And then the bullpen comes in, not even named Harvey, Urseg, and Estevez. It's Zerpa, Schreiber for an inning and 2/3, and then Daniel Lynch coming in. So, if your worst guys are Sam Long and Chris Stratton, and you've got a pretty strong top 3, you're doing pretty good if those middle 3 look anything like they did last night. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling. More Zone next. Transfer portal, Diggy Coit has decided on a home. It's Maryland. He's heading back closer to his home, a New Jersey kid. But he said something I thought raised my eyebrows a little bit. Not a surprise, but also sort of saying it I thought was interesting. Also, one of the terms he used can be interpreted different ways. We'll talk about that. We also have the bracket of sound. Houston lost on Monday. Florida won. The sound bites to play for our champion, for our loser, runner-up. And also, we got some Rotten Tomatoes to play as well. So we'll hang out with Mick Schaefer for the next hour, KSHB 41 Sports Director. More Zone rolling along on a Wednesday Hump Day edition. Next. We continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mick Schaefer hanging out with us.
How's your drinks, guys?
Drinks are good. Drinks are good. I appreciate you getting some drinks from QT. You know, but it's not as, I thought the cup would be a little bit bigger like they used to splash Bobby last night. I would like you to get a size drink like that, a fountain drink like that.
I asked for that, but they said it was $1,800.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that seems like that's a
Well,
deal.
I would have had time to get it, but I had to get Dylan's drink.
It was unlimited refills, though, with that big old thing. But Dylan's drink, did you take out the diabetes in his drink?
I tried my best.
Okay, that happens.
Diabetes. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Dylan is the most laid-back dude. You figure low maintenance. But when it comes time to get him a drink...
And I even tried today to keep it in the same general area as everyone else getting their drinks. But
The
fountain,
water is with the lemonade, which is right next to the Gatorade.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I didn't know the ratio. I kind of went
tough.
like 70 to 75% Gatorade and the rest water.
there's area for improvement, but it's,
High
satisfactory.
maintenance guy, right?
Wait, so what's did it need more water or less water?
No, it's perfect.
This is better than usual.
Perfect.
Usually it's like I'll have a sugar-free Alani 20-ounce blueberry mocha in a can, or no, half can, half bottle. Don't tell them they don't have it. They'll tell you not, but they do.
And then he'll always finish it with or whatever easy.
Or whatever easiest. I'm like, okay,
Well, not that.
I'm milk. Okay, you might get it. Okay.
The par 3 contest going on today. Gary Player just wrapped up. He's finished 1 under. But
Tom Watson's in it.
yeah, but Keegan Bradley just aced one of the holes, a hole-in-one, as we like to call it around here, pulling a Gary Woodland. Keegan Bradley went to Gary. That was last year, right? That Woodland aced in the par 3. I don't know if he's in it this year, but he had that par 3 hole-in-one last year. But Gary Woodland played Henry Thomas playing the role of Keegan Bradley this year. Are they not brothers?
They do look alike.
I mean, come on. Keegan Bradley,
He
as
was
a
in
child,
E.T..
played in E.T. Everybody knows this, right? Am I wrong? Same guy. Although Keegan Bradley rocking a mustache. When did he?
He looks
when
more
did-
like Sterling than
Dude.
the kid on E.T.
We're like,
Guy's tight.
is that Keegan Bradley? Because he had, when we looked up and saw the hole-in-one, he had turned around and was jumping up. We're like, is that? He's got a mustache from the profile from the side. Is that Sterling? And then the kids that he was hugging had the caddy outfit on that said Bradley on the back. So like, it's either Keegan Bradley or he's just hugging random kids.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or that kid's actual name is Bradley. It's not
That's his first name?
It's just Bradley.
Mick, are you proud of me for having the easiest order of anyone, though? I feel like
Yes,
that
it's
was
it goes against type.
Is it really that easy? I just had a fountain drink Coke.
Yours was easy.
Thank you.
But like,
you gotta
Sterling,
put- you gotta put
Sterling's
easiest-
high maintenance, right? He's going to be the guy like, I'm going to turn on a
100%.
record at 8:36 tonight and read pages 76 through 105 of this book.
well, maybe. I mean,
Yeah, right?
And
And-
I did last night. Yeah, Arctic Monkeys, and then I read a book by Eric Larson.
Boy,
Yeah.
fact.
And by the way,
Fact.
the page numbers are pretty darn close.
I was there. I was watching you. And then Dylan just like, yeah, man, whatever, right?
Yeah, Dylan's just
kind
gonna
of turned him into like kind of a stoner, but yeah, man, whatever.
I mean,
And
just go with the flow.
And then
whichever
when it
way
comes
the-
to drink orders, I mean, Sterling's like, black coffee, please. I'm like, thank you, Sterling. That's very easy. And
It's like I need a
Dylan's
splash
like,
of
all right,
lemonade.
they have this in Canada. I know they do. Look back in the back fridge. It might still be on a pallet in a truck, but they have this. Go find it.
I need splash of lemonade, then one
When
Splenda,
Mick tries to find my order, they're like, oh, okay, a specialty item. Let's check in the back here.
3 seconds of Pib.
Give me
then I need you to go in 1 dab of sugar, then Gatorade, but some water
2
in there.
tablespoons of water.
I want the
Honey.
I want the big Q cup, but I want a straw for a little Q.
I sent
okay?
Mick like a
and I want
recipe.
the lid for coffee.
Yeah. I send Mick a recipe. You guys send him orders.
See, then you get one of those calypsos, right? And then just pour some of the calypso
Yes.
in there.
Yes, and it should all fit if you have, 13 cubes of ice in there.
14, you're screwed.
You're done.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Restart.
because what if it's like the little mouse poop pellet ice? What if it's like that? Then how many pieces of ice do you have to put in there?
So
then
4 of those equals 1 cube of ice.
Okay.
My observation, it's not a complaint about QT, it's not an observation. Their small ice compared to their big ice cubes, there's not much of a difference.
Yeah.
So I'm good either way.
I agree.
Would they
Wherever,
they
wherever
multiple ice
guys, where
cubes?
there's not a guy. If there's a guy in the big cube, I'm going, I'm going to go get the small cubes and vice versa.
I didn't know they had multiple cubes there.
Oh, you got to read at the fountain.
I'm not a fountain drink guy. Typically, I'm a
Shocker.
Black coffee. Guy.
black coffee.
They're on different sides of the store.
Yeah, I don't traverse to that.
You don't
side.
get over there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like since they're on different sides of the store, we all have fountain drinks. Sterling was the most difficult. You had to traverse the entire other side of the store.
Hold on, guys. I parked on that side. I parked on the coffee side.
Yeah, but so did you get the coffee first?
Coffee side. Coffee.
I got it second, or I got it last because I wanted it to be as hot as possible for
Thank you.
Sterling.
Wow, you are so
Delicious.
considerate.
I went to the bathroom first.
I wish you'd have gone to the bathroom last.
Probably
I went to the bathroom last, actually.
Probably
What?
washed my hands. I probably washed them.
That's fine.
You know
That's- No, but that's only for the.
Tastes better.
It's only for the employees anyway.
That's right. It's a suggestion.
It's just, for employees. It's always weird when the people that don't wash their hands while you're in the bathroom there and you can see each other. It's like you're not even. It's like, dude, you're not even peer pressured to do
Exactly.
it right now.
That should
Like,
be
you're
the
just
deal.
Gonna, you're just gonna walk out. Like, I don't know if you always wash your hands, but if you wash your hands now, I at least know that there's an element of peer pressure that you will. But
At
if you're gonna
least-
walk out with anybody there, like, when would you ever do it?
At least give me some fake hustle there, okay?
100%.
Run your hands under the water.
Yeah, right. And
Something.
that's always the
Fake
fun.
hustle.
Just run your hands under the water, then dry them off. Yeah, you got it.
You
Kill the
nailed it.
bacteria right there with that really clean bacteria-killing water you just used right there.
What you're doing, to an extent, though, is getting your germ ability up, your ability to not get germs in you. What do you call that?
Oh wow, that was almost back to back for
It's
Keegan.
Keegan, yeah.
Your immune system.
Your immune system
Your
is that what you're looking
antibodies.
for?
Antibodies.
Your antibodies. Thank you.
How are you doing that by just splashing water on your hands?
You
Actually,
say
you're-
it's science. You
It's
say it's
science.
science.
It's science.
it's actually increasing.
I was about to say water multiplies
Yes.
bacteria.
That's true.
It's like the 5-second rule. They did a study on the 5-second rule. And it's like really, it's kind of like a 15-second rule as long as the food is dry. If it's wet, it's immediate.
Well,
The
so
bacteria immediately connects
I do
to
wash
what is
my hands
liquid.
every time because I have very soft hands, and I like keeping them soft, and I feel like
Yeah, you
Makes
have
sense.
never worked a day in
Exactly.
your life.
golf. You get some
I do have
calluses.
this. I have this callus from golf. Yeah, that was the least manly I've ever felt like is when I met my father-in-law for the first time. A man who was a truck driver for 40 years, hauling for Ford, and I shook his hand, and I'm like, "Do you have sandpaper wrapped around your hand, or what do you got there, sir?" And he's probably shaking my hand, going, "Did you just use lotion? Are you a hand model,
Are
sir?
you a baby? Do you have baby hands?
You have a baby hand there?" I've like shook his hand. I'm like, "Good God, that is a man." Yes. I'm never going to live up to your standards for your daughter, am I? I talk about sports on the air. That's what I do. Have I changed a tire? Yeah, I've done that. Ever changed my own oil? No, can't do that. But I'll try to learn if you'll teach me. You don't want to teach me? I get it. That's probably not good enough. No big deal.
It'll take too long.
It would take too long. Exactly right. I shook that man's hand. I'm like, that dude grew up in a small town in Tennessee, and for money, he would break Mustangs, horses.
Oh, not the car.
Their car. It's like phone books,
No,
but it's even.
That's what he would do. Yes, but no, that he broke in horses for extra money on the side for cash. Is
I
how
can't
he
think
would
of
make.
a ballsier thing in
That's
life
what he would
to
do. That's what he would do. That was
Yeah.
that was him growing up. Like,
Here's a wild horse.
yeah. Now
Just get on it.
Here you go. Now here's
Till it's
there you go.
tame.
Here's $10 for you.
It was a different time. My mom did that in southern Indiana. She wouldn't
used to break horses,
she-
too?
No,
Horses?
she wouldn't break them. She would just ride them.
Well, yeah.
They weren't trained horses. They were
So they weren't
So
broken.
they were broken.
they weren't broken. So she
Broke
would.
'em.
I
but
guess
she wouldn't go about break.
She
so
got
would
thrown
just-
off them a whole bunch.
Yeah, that's
Well, I would
breaking
guess,
a horse.
yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I'm like,
You break a neck to break a horse.
Yes,
Pretty much.
that's right.
I'm just perplexed. I'm like, so my mom did that, and I'm like, I can't do any of these things because of danger. I can't ride in the bed of a truck because I'll get bounced out.
Which, by the way,
Don't worry. You did a lot of golfing, though. You did.
looking back and thinking of all the times we rode in the back of a truck on the highway. Just don't sit on the wheel thing, okay? That's dangerous. All right, I don't want you to sit on the part in the back of the truck, in the bed of the truck that the wheel is there. I need you to sit down in the bed of the truck, please.
I thought
now
that
it's
was there
safe.
as a seat. I thought they
always thought that, too.
they designed the trucks.
Why wouldn't I
like,
sit here?
Here's for seats when you're in the
It's a
back.
seat right there. Why would I not use that? Well, because you could fall backwards, okay?
Well, Missouri's great because Missouri, well, don't take my word for it, but you can drink if you're not the driver, correct?
Yes,
And
yes.
so I remember in college we'd put like a couch or like a chair in the bed of a truck. And
Yeah,
you
but I don't
just
think you're
sit
allowed
back
to do
I
that,
feel like,
though.
yeah, they
drinking
frown
beers
upon that.
in the
That's
bed of the
different.
truck.
It's
Is that illegal?
No.
If you're just
driving,
sitting there without a beer, that's illegal.
In
Yeah.
the bed of a truck, but there's a chair,
Yeah, that makes it worse.
like a lazy boy.
Mick, I think you're missing the point. There's a couch
the
back there.
chair there.
There's a chair there.
We had to
So-
move it, so someone's got to. put some
Right.
weight on it so it doesn't fly out the bed.
They would put a blanket on you that would act as a
Yes.
seatbelt.
Yes.
So it's really the
Seems
same
safe.
thing. It's totally safe there because if you were to get flipped out, you could grab the cushion of the couch while you were
We
flying.
turned it backwards, so when you're actually driving forward, the force of a collision, you would be fine.
Well, you'd actually, if you hit a car, you fly off on the couch, and the beer's there to kind
Great.
of.
That makes total. It's
lessen
like
the blow.
It's a built-in airbag as long as you don't fly 10 feet in the air. You're perfectly fine. Yeah, I don't. Keegan Bradley's son just put it out for him.
Well, and Bradley, that means he's done for the tournament.
It's DQ.
DQ'd.
Whoa,
When you
that's
have
too bad.
when you have your kid hit for you,
Is
or
that
your
the rule?
wife hit for it is. You're done.
It
They
actually
like,
is the
they
rule?
like it. Take it seriously. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of times when a guy's going to the final par 3 and he's leading because no par 3 winner has ever won the Masters.
That's right.
He's like, screw this. My kid's gonna hit, and I'm DQ'd.
Scheffler's not even playing in it. He's not even taking a chance. Scheffler's like, I'm out. I'm not playing in the par 3 because I'm not taking a chance. And Rory's like, I'm not going to win it anyway.
Exactly.
Come on.
Scheffler would be like, I win just about
Yes.
everything I try to do out here on tours.
Rory's like, do you want me to play for you as well? I'll do
Yes.
2 rounds of this. It's
Rory
fine.
had a
I'm not
chance
winning.
to win it on 18 on the par 3 course, and he pulled the putt.
He did on
He
purpose.
pulled it.
He should have had
Smart.
Keegan Bradley's son putt for him. So does the hole in one not count now because he's DQ'd?
I mean,
'Cause of his
what in a par 3 actually counts? I mean, it's a
Good
par
point.
3 contest.
That's a good point.
So
I mean,
does
it happened, right?
Yeah.
So at the end, if there's
KU
like a
went to
bunch
the
of guys
2018
that are
Final Four.
tied going in trying to win it, does everyone just try and like miss
Yes,
putts and
they
miss
do.
chips and stuff?
Yes.
They actually they try
That
to
might be
miss.
worth watching.
They try to miss so often that the guy that didn't think he had a chance now won.
Right,
The guy in the clubhouse
right.
that was like, hold on, how did I win this one? I was
wanna
I
finish
was
last
4
for
strokes
sure, yeah.
behind. They were 5 over on the final hole.
The guys who win are like 50th in the world and below. They're like, sure, I have no chance anyway. Or guys that don't believe it, that there's such things as curses, and let's just go win it.
What's the money for the par 3 contest?
I'm sure there's something, right?
Yeah, I mean it's.
Pride.
Do you get to help plan the dinner for the winner? You don't get invited to the winner's dinner for the Masters.
You get to
don't
prep it.
You don't get invited, but you get to help them figure out what they want to eat.
So these kids say they grow up with their PGA fathers, and they're there every year from 5 to 18. Do they have a different little white suit they get every year? Because you're
You'd have to-
growing,
yeah,
it's
you
got to be
gotta grow
different
into it.
size. Do you keep? I mean, the
Gotta grow
Bradley
into it.
kid gonna have like
No prize
10
money.
of those little.
No prize money. Oh,
no
then
prize
what's the
money.
point?
They
There is
roll
a
them up.
trophy
They just roll the sleeves. They're actually
engraved.
all
Yeah.
coming XLs.
They're all the same
and they're
size.
just-
yes.
You can, but it's great for hand-me-downs. You know, so you only have to buy one of that size. If you have like 3 or 4 kids, you just hand it
Do
down.
you get
It's
to
just
keep
the same
them, or do
last
you have
name.
to give them back to Augusta?
How great would that be? Your hand-me-downs are Masters jumpsuits. How awesome is your dad? My hand-me-downs were Spider-Man T-shirts.
I found it on Facebook Marketplace. It was a Masters jumpsuit caddy. We're going to use it for Halloween. His last name's going to be Bradley. It's going to be fine, okay?
You go to their garage sale. That's all they have there.
Okay.
Their entire neighborhood.
Could you win the Masters
No.
if you start? Everyone says that if you start on the green. I think they did a study. The answer is yes.
I would hope
If
so.
you started on the green, you would win because
No.
the greens are difficult. So let's say you start.
The farthest point on the green.
20
I think that,
20
I don't
25
think
yards
it's a
out.
layup, but I think I could if I
couldn't
practiced
win.
a lot.
I think on the green for sure. I think if you're a 25 handicap, you'd win if you start on the green. I mean, that's
My handicap is putting. That's the problem. So, you know.
okay. Jason's
so
out.
I'm
Dylan,
out. I would
Dylan,
not
Nick, and
win.
myself.
You would. I mean, if you
20
averaged a 3.5 putt per green,
You're gonna win.
You would win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That would make sense.
I don't have to prove it, so yeah, I can do it.
That's a good
20
point.
20 yards
yes,
off the green.
I'm with Dylan. Yes, I
There
would
you go,
absolutely
Jason.
win.
I mean, that might be almost like a push to where a lot of times my chip there might be pretty close to my first putt if I'm a long way on the
good
green,
point.
right? You know. But I would
great
say you're getting in the danger zone of hell
You-
no.
you
on-
bl- you-
on that
you blade
20
one.
20 yard exactly.
I think I might end up putting
I
most
mean,
of those off
That's
of
the whole deal, right? You have
Yeah.
the entire world watching you. I'll be blading one every other hole, probably.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
At least with
I
the
call-
flat stick, you should make decent
Sure.
contact.
I call it
every
risk
time.
mitigation, where you actually put those off of the green.
Well,
so you,
I mean, if you're on the on that fairway, that cut, I'm putting every day, every
Yeah.
day.
yeah.
And honestly,
probably
a
nice.
normal putt, because those greens are so fast, probably a normal putt
Yeah.
would do it.
Yeah. Not a hole in one for
Say it's
Keegan
like
Bradley
putting
this
on your
one.
garage floor. out there on
Yeah.
like these
Yeah.
major
Well, here's the thing.
tournaments.
Like Keegan Bradley let his kid putt out that one, but he hasn't let him tee off yet. So I mean, how good is the kid just to make a 5-foot putt? I mean, I haven't seen this kid tee off in a par 3 yet.
Better than me.
I mean, he's like 6, but yeah.
Okay,
He
let's
sucks.
see what he has. Let's see what he does. All right. Oh, I made a putt at the Masters on the green that you just said, Jason, that you
And
wouldn't
by
be
the way,
able to
that,
win.
that putt was like perfect speed.
It
too.
was too. It was beautifully read. It was like 7 feet. It
It
wasn't.
was. It wasn't like
It
a
wasn't a
tap in.
gimme.
Oh!
No, it's that's not going in. That's short.
Oh, one more.
Did they not
revolution.
just
One
do,
rotation.
I had an idea, but I think they just did this at one of the PGA Tour events where they just had 60 regular people come out and like fill out a field, and then they have them play a weekend at one of these tournaments just to show people like how
So-
far off this is
Well,
from like
they-
normal golf.
They did. TPC saw
That's
grass,
what I was- yep,
but
okay.
they didn't get like normal guys. The people that did it were people who had almost
Like
never
golf.
golfed before.
Okay.
Oh my
And
God.
so
yeah.
it was pretty silly because I saw
That's
this.
almost even funnier, but I could see why that
Well,
would be silly because it almost
It
doesn't
takes the
give you a
point
good-
away because
yeah.
you don't get to actually see get like a 12 handicap, an 18, a 6,
Yeah.
and a scratch. But they had guys who were like 29s or guys who had never played before, and you're like, well, they can't even reach 17. They're
You need a couple
they're
of those
whiffing.
guys, but not all of them.
Like at least make contact, guys.
The only story I have about that is the guy that when Rory won the PGA in 14 at Valhalla, a guy who was a member of the club that shot par from time to time at Valhalla, was that good. Played from the tips. PGA rules. They let some of the members on that Monday play the Sunday hole placement. Putt on 18 that he made to shoot 99.
I was same
99.
story. Leaf Lysick, scratch golfer.
Yeah.
You know, Leaf, longtime sports guy in Kansas City, scratch golfer. He's just so good. And he went and played Bethpage Black like a month before they had the Open there. So they were getting it ready.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the toughest of tough too.
And so they played the tips.
Yeah.
But not where the pros
not
were
the
playing.
tips where
Every
the-
time
yeah.
they would look back like there was another
Yes.
tee box. They were creating about 20 yards back, but he still played the tips. And he said he played 36 holes there. And so he scratched. First 18 was a 79. Second 18 was an 89. He said because they had the rough already grown
Yeah,
out.
right.
If you're in the rough, you're grabbing pitching
Toast.
wedge and punching out.
Yeah. And if you're going to do that, you might as well. I mean,
79's impressive as hell.
Yeah, he's really good.
I mean,
but then he had to make a putt to break 90 the next 18.
They have I love the sign they have at Bethpage Black that's like the danger. The course is so difficult. There's a danger side on the tips.
Yeah.
if they're in the danger zone, who are they getting? Maybe have to get into what?
You might have to get into Kenny Loggins.
You might have to get into Kenny Loggins. You might be getting into Kenny Loggins.
The-
You might be entering Kenny Loggins. Is what
enter
you're saying.
in the Kenny
Wait,
Loggins
are we
zone.
going to hear that sound?
We
Is
are
that
going to
part
hear
of
that
it?
sound
Okay,
probably coming up here in just a second. But I did want to bring this up with Diggy Coit that I mentioned at the end of the last hour. So, did you see his comments on choosing Maryland and decide? I mean, he's going back closer to home anyway. But I thought this sort of raised my eyebrows a little bit. Again, not a surprise because we're talking about college basketball and what we see from the recruiting, transfer portal rankings, etc. But how some players are recruited. So Diggy Coit talked about going to Maryland, and playing for Buzz Williams, and said, sort of, it would have been Texas A&M or, could have been wherever they were going to go with the coaching staff. He entered his name in the transfer portal on March 31st, so almost about 8 days ago.
Yep.
About 8 days ago is when he put his name in the transfer portal. Diggy Coit said about playing for Buzz Williams in Maryland, well, they've been recruiting me for a while, and I just felt comfortable. Like, hold on. Now, a while is a relative term, but you put your name in the transfer portal on the 31st. Monday was a week. You committed yesterday.
Wow,
so
feels like longer ago than 8 days.
8 days. What's a while mean for you? What is and none of it would be a surprise, by the way. And I don't think anybody would be like, oh my goodness, they're doing something wrong because I can't believe Buzz Williams was reaching out to Diggy Coit at the end of the season to try to get him to go to Maryland. But It's just like it is interesting when it's like, yeah, they've been recruiting me for a while, and
He was in the transfer portal last year, so maybe
That's
in
a
that
good
time
point.
last year.
That's a good
and
point.
in high school, he's from New Jersey. Maybe they
that's-
recruited.
you know what?
Maybe he meant that.
I didn't think about it like that. I just think
but
about
I'm
it
guessing
specifically
it didn't
this
mean
one.
that. It was a lot more than that. That's my guess.
Because he said whether it was A&M or Maryland, he was going to go play for Buzz Williams. So wherever he ended up, but he gets to go back closer to home. He's a New Jersey guy, so he gets to do that. But I committed to Maryland because they've been recruiting me for a while, and they think highly of my game.
Yeah, I mean, you don't jump into the portal and be like, all right, let's see what's going to happen. I'm here, guys.
Yeah,
I think some do.
Like,
I
well,
mean,
some may,
maybe,
but like
but I
Flory entered the portal to be like, okay, who wants to offer me the most money? All right, Kansas looks like I'm.
So he had that do not contact tag, though. What does that mean exactly?
I think it probably means you kind of have an idea of where you're going to go, or you'd like to contact them, or maybe your agent is contacted. I have no idea
It's
what
like
the
no
do not.
soliciting. It's like a sign on your house.
To me, it's like, all right, Indiana has offered me this much. I'm going to get in there and wait to see if KU counters.
Might be.
That's
yeah.
my guess, but I don't know exactly what all that means.
I just loved like.
And nobody else pay. I'm not interested in you, Arizona, or you,
Yeah.
Maryland,
Don't
anybody
contact
else.
me.
It's going to be either Indiana or KU. And I've got this one job offer. I'm going to go back to my employer and see
Right.
if he can match
Right.
or exceed that.
Yeah, and then when I give the reason for that, I'm like, you know what? It's weird. It just felt like home.
Felt like home.
It just felt. I felt comfortable when I went to Lawrence. I don't know what it was, but it's like I had been there already for a while. It just really had that homey feel to me. Like I knew the coaching staff. Like it felt like I had been around them for more than 5 or 10 minutes. Like almost a year. I felt like I'd been around him. Just a real feel. He didn't say that, but it would have been great if he did. I actually wish Flory would have been like, you know what? I just felt like home to be here. Just knew the coaching
Bill
staff.
Self's biggest portal get is going to be his own player.
Right? I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. With that player. All right, we'll take a timeout, come back, and we will hear the winning and the losing sound in the bracket of sound, and some Rotten Tomatoes coming up next. program with Soren Petro comes your way at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow, maybe their favorite remote. Oh, that was about a half-inch away from a hole-in-one.
Can you imagine being able to put that much sauce on the ball?
I mean,
those
English or spin?
With a wedge, even on a green that's sloping, front to back, going up, I would just I could have the best Titleist in the world. I would just land it and just keep rolling up.
It's something in my life I will never be able to
Watch
do.
it zip on back.
Is put any English on a golf ball that it will spin in any way, shape, or form. It will land like a sack of potatoes, or it'll land and just keep on going forward.
What stinks is I have a little bit on it, especially depending on which golf ball I'm using. But you can't tell. You can never tell. Like these guys. Like sometimes. You can't tell from that far out. I'm like,
pull that back
zipped.
3 yards.
It didn't come back, but it stopped there. It spun and it stuck. But you can't tell because your yards might get in the hole.
That's pretty. That is pretty. All right. So we have a bracket of sound champion.
Oh God, it's Sterling? Right?
But I didn't even. By the way, I was about to say I think Soren's favorite moat tomorrow is at Nick and Jake's for the Masters, and they've got the pimento cheese sandwiches and. They've got all of that tomorrow that Soren will be at Nick and Jake's. It's a fun one. We may, as a show, go there right after the show's over tomorrow and go hang out for a little bit.
Because I believe it's just during the broadcast.
Just during the broadcast.
Do they have the pricing and the menu and all that
yep,
stuff?
It's pretty cool. They'll be there tomorrow. The par 3 contest going on right now. We have a champion in the bracket of sound. Florida wins over Houston and the Cougs. And with a loss on Monday night, 2-point loss, it means that this sound finished runner-up in the 2025 bracket of sound. The Houston Cougars lost, and so does this.
Man, oh man, he's only given up 3 home runs. 4.
In the air, deep to left center field. Quan to the track, turns around, it's out of here.
Believe it. With him loaded to go.
That's well hit to center field, and back goes Friedel. Gone!
MJ, right field, deep. Perez is at the wall. Yeah!
That was before, I swear.
Hooking into the corner, gone. Oh, that ball is smacked.
Know how many ballparks can hold that one or this one, and that's Vinny's second of the night. Oh, belted right field. Heads up bullpen.
Oh, and he hammers that one. Oh,
The sound of the connection of the bat, too, is beautiful.
And Salvi blasts it to left field. Gone for a grand slam. Oh, and Vinny smokes it to right field, and that is out of here for another home run in this series. There we go, baby.
the American League leader in RBIs. And he's got more. That's a no-doubt blast. Deep to left and gone.
Edge of their seats.
Oh, my fly ball left field. Fair ball.
DeYoung drives it deep to left field. It's got enough, and the Royals have tied the game.
Salvi, baby. Deep left field. He's done it again. That hung, and it goes a long way. Gone.
Got him.
Hit well.
In the middle.
Oh, man. You were right.
What's he thinking?
Fly ball, left center field. Gone. 6 RBIs for Salvi tonight.
How could you try to sneak a piece of cheese by a hungry captain?
There you go, Houston Cougars, the Rexgasms. They are second place finishers in the bracket of sound. The broadcast calls it the Rexclamation points, but whatever, it's whatever you're into.
More PG-13 crowd
That's
here.
fine, whatever.
Here's the deal. Speed of light is faster than the speed of sound. So he sees what's happening a split second before he hears it. However, he then has to talk into the mic,
Yes.
which is more sound. It travels a little bit, so he has to see it and say it, and still, sometimes it's before we hear it.
It might be the best one wasn't even a Rexclamation point. It might be the one where he called 4.
Yes.
Like, is
Yes,
it?
4.
Can you play the first one real quick, Dylan? I know you probably got the winner Florida teed up right there, but with Houston and the Keegan Bradley's child just hit it into the water. Oh my goodness!
Driver.
He's so mad. He's sad.
Welcome to golf,
Oh, he's
kid.
crying. Oh,
was me yesterday.
poor kid. Poor kid.
Richie.
Oh, his mom gave him a hug. That kid's never going to make it.
Nowhere near the green.
Never
He does
going to
not
make it.
have
He
the
just
distance.
hooked it into the water. Just the beginning here. This might have been his best one.
Man, oh man, he's only given up 3 home runs. 4.
That was instantaneous.
He saw where the pitch was. 3 home runs, 4. Unbelievable. All right, that lost on Monday night by 2 points. That one had 4 straight turnovers. I don't know why. That Rex needed a little bit better finish there.
3 turnovers, 4.
Well done. They've turned the ball over the last 3 times. 4. Houston, you got to go. All right, Florida, the Gators, they won the championship out of the Sterling's Stash region. And here's the sound, the championship winning sound for the Bracket of Sound of 2025.
I'm a dumbass.
There we go.
Extend it. Make the umpire pull out. He went into me.
Whoa.
That was his dark horse. He was sticking his flag in him, and all of a sudden he got down, and I got rocked, and I was like, "Oh baby, you can really just smash those boys." You find a ball, because just guys being dudes, we're gonna find balls. We'll blow one if you blow the second one. Are you guys all the way in or not? He kind of came from the side/behind. She made me take it off. It was actually a big deal. That vice principal, no, I did not like her.
I hit 3 times.
When I think about you, I touch myself. Yeah, baby, you're quick. You put it in me, and then you decided to say, you know what? I'm going to twist. He gets that ass behind it.
For some reason to be funny
Were
and
you eating someone, or?
was not, as it turns out.
Okay. I like going
really
from the
are.
bottom up. So I'm giving strokes out. Strap in, because that might be danger zone. You might be entering Kenny Loggins. I do love his balls all had different names. Let me grab my banana. Oh my God. I was told I was supposed to let Todd see him. He told me before the show that the rule was I let him watch. I'm not trying to yuck your yum. You like this, Avery, that I'm doing myself just twice?
Oh, I love it when you do yourself.
I knew it.
Twice is even better.
I showed you the drumstick, didn't I?
I do a thing where every single year I can see if I can still get rim. From ages 18 to 29, I've been able to. So I need to see if I can still get it at age 30.
Yeah, I like your pole, Mick.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
I have the itch. I've been talking about this all the time.
Well, I don't mean to get that checked out.
So I'm giving him a hard one. I thought you were an Esquitarian.
Equestrian?
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles.
There you go.
That's the winner.
Championship sound.
Do we have a collection of the other winners
Yeah.
over the years?
Yeah, I
Can
do.
we hear
Yep.
'em,
I
or-
mean, it's probably in there. The 2024 winner. The
Refresh me. Who won last year?
I'd like to give a
year.
speech over my win, though.
Oh,
my,
yeah, go
my
ahead.
Huge
You
win.
love me.
No,
You
do that.
really
Do
love
that
me.
at a commercial break.
For the audience-
I want to thank Dylan
for the audience that would care
having
about
quick
you.
fingers and
Already
Start on
I mean,
next
that's looking
year.
for that number 1 seed next year. Coming for that number 1 seed.
And he already has a couple.
Yes,
That we-
he's
gonna hear this
well,
getting an
okay,
early
let me
start.
finish.
And we're just continuing to add more.
I mean,
Can I
do
I
we know
can
what
say
the-
nothing without getting marked.
yeah, well, yeah. Do you know what the 2024 sound was? The championship.
I did find it.
I
What was it?
appreciate
It's a
Dylan.
minute 53 long. It's the Kelsey Taylor Swift Bears game that was attached to UConn,
Oh,
where he's on New Heights.
Oh yeah, he's telling the story about
Yeah,
how
Oh,
he
yeah, I
and
remember that,
and then Andy Reid said I was matchmaker.
Yes.
That was that one.
Yeah.
Do we know what we don't have to hear that one? 2023. He's looking that one up too because it's a couple other clicks away.
Point
So
remains,
this is
I
the-
appreciate Dylan.
I guess
and
that's
his
UConn too, right?
Yeah, it's also UConn. I
Is
think.
this like the 6th winner? 6th time you've done it?
Yeah, 2020 was the first one, and we didn't have a tournament, so we had to vote.
Oh,
So
that's
we
right.
each
Yeah.
matchup we voted along the way. So the 2020 winner was
like it better that
Jason
way.
Twitter has a butt problem. That sound right?
yes. I mean, let's play it. How long is it? Like 10 seconds? Can't be that long. The butt problem can't be more than 10 seconds.
Get that fixed.
This might have been the best champion.
It was.
This is strong.
We've had
It's a
some
good
good
one.
champions. We've had some good champions before.
I'm kind of feeling like Twitter has less of a bot problem and more of a butt problem.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because somebody had searched something and it only came up,
Yes. Yes.
X-rated stuff. We're like, why are we worried about bots? Maybe get this stuff off there.
This year was way better. This year would have smoked
Yes.
2023.
Right,
winner.
absolutely.
Yeah.
2022. Do you remember that one?
Strong winner.
Yeah, I like this better than Rotten Tomatoes anyway. Right now, finding out who the
KU what? Right?
Yep, 2022 was KU. Dylan, like he didn't. He just had to make sure that. Oh, was that the year that KU won? Refresh my memory.
There's no names attached to these.
Sorry.
So that's, well.
That's probably my fault.
No, you're good. It's not.
I'm a big dummy.
That is not your fault, buddy.
It's probably my fault.
But no, there's just sound in here, no names.
This would have been an all-timer, like the UNLV championship or something like that, or one of those Duke teams. Or
The 2020 was the first one, and I can't remember which one. Who won in 20? Because that was one where we just ended up voting.
I kind of like that better. I don't want it to rely on, Florida having to carry the weight of the best sound the whole way through.
Well, that's what they did. They took care of it. It's the bracket of sound. We don't get to choose. Was it like 2 or 3 minutes?
No, I cannot find.
I feel like the listeners.
There's not like a name attached to them, but there's sound in here.
There's no name attached to them because there was no team attached to them, so there couldn't have been a name attached in 2020. I was just dumb in 2022. I don't remember which one it was. It was probably definitely a 1 seed at that point in 2020.
There's some good ones.
That may have been the Boston Sports Radio people in 2020, or it might have been Glenda the Good, or any of the 1 seeds, Glenda the Good, or the Boston Sports Radio.
That was a good one.
The Glenda the Good
was a classic.
Glenda the Good was phenomenal.
Speaking of butt problems, right in the butt
that was 2 seed. That was St. John's.
Mick forgot your whole line. We had a whole bit done.
What?
Oh, did we?
Yeah, remember?
No.
Dylan,
it's the best. This
Thank
is
you.
the best.
Nice job, Dylan.
That was half-hearted.
I missed that.
Is Glenda the Good there in 2020?
I just can't tell.
That's my fault.
No,
I blame myself, really.
There's the sound is here, but there's no like brackets
You
or
blame
teams.
other committee members if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we could.
It's mainly the committee
it was
chair.
North Carolina, really.
We've moved on from those committee members, so that's
We have. That's certainly
more
true.
That's
certainly true. I'm pretty sure it was either Glenda the Good or there was a Boston Sports Radio people that were complaining about Brady going to Tampa Bay and Gronk going to Tampa Bay and talking about how they were going to suck and everything, And I bet Edelman's pissed off right now because he wants to take Jello shots off of Gronk's nipples.
Hang on, I remember that.
Or no, you know what? I think it was, I will fight you. I am at Buffalo Wild Wings. Tony. Come down here. If you're one of them guys that's rooting for them to lose all of their games, I will fight you. You stay away from me, my family, and my show, because I will fight you. I am at Buffalo Wild Wings. That was probably the original winner, because we got to vote for that one.
Buffalo Wild Wings did send me those glasses that Hank the Buffalo wore.
Oh, there you go.
You know those like crazy March Madness glasses?
Yeah,
with,
for
like,
sure.
The 20
Got it
mirrors.
sent to you?
It's awesome.
How about
There's
that?
like duct tape and everything on it.
So
It's pretty cool.
if those are real, does that mean the Buffalo was real? That wasn't like
I have
CGI?
a letter from Hank the Buffalo, so I feel like it has to be
real.
him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do now?
Hell of an actor.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go create a specific folder that are just winners of each year, so we'll know which ones they are for next year.
In our pre-show meeting, I brought this up today.
I know. That was 4 o'clock in the morning, though. I was pretty tired. So I told you from waking up that early to go through our 5-hour meeting. And it's cool that you're a part of it, too, Mick. Let's take a time out. We'll come back. We'll see if there's a round of Rotten Tomatoes left to go or not. We'll find out next. Or Friday with you, Mick.
I can
You
do one
excited
right
about-
now.
You excited about Friday's show? What? You're not going to be here Friday?
No, I'm not
Oh,
gonna be
wait,
here.
did
Wait,
I know
wrong
that?
one? There
Oh
we
my
go.
goodness! Oh man, I didn't know this at all.
Well, 2 mics. Yeah, I'm gone.
Oh, that's right. I do remember you saying that. That's why I brought it up.
It's the summer of Mick. It's the spring of Mick. It's
That's right.
I have a lot going on.
Where are we going?
I believe it
He's going to go
tremendously.
visit Corey Anderson.
Very busy life.
Unless
I'm
that
gonna
wasn't
see
supposed
Corey.
to be on the air. Sorry.
Or as I call Old Sterling.
Better Sterling.
Yeah, I agree.
A version of Sterling.
I don't agree. It's different. It's like when Ross and Rachel, when they were on a break. It was like, well, was it better? It's
like-
different.
it's like-
No, it was awful.
It's like new Becky on Roseanne.
100%. Yep,
Wasn't he
it's different.
wasn't he cowboy Corey or something? Was he at one point? Was he cowboy?
Yeah, you nailed it. He went to Oklahoma State.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had
The
a
new
mom.
That's
She had a
right.
new mom.
The new
at one
mom.
point.
That's right. That's what Sterling is. The
Yeah,
new mom.
new mom.
I think I
New mom.
need a nickname then.
So yeah, Mick's going to be hanging out with Corey Anderson. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Soren was hanging out with Corey Anderson. Like,
Well,
who's
he's just
next?
right down the road in South Jordan, Utah.
Dylan, you gonna head to Salt Lake City anytime soon to head and hang out with Corey? I mean,
I hadn't planned on it, but I guess I should.
everybody around me. Soren, Mick.
Well,
my wife.
he invites everyone there.
Oh, that makes sense.
He's like new Shane Summers back there.
New Shane. We got new Shane and new Corey, and is there a new Mick coming along anytime soon?
God, I hope so.
You and me both. Hey, enjoy Corey.
I cannot wait to enjoy Corey.